Alright, thank you all so much for joining us on this wonderful Thursday evening for some more D&D right here on Lionhead Gaming. And since it is Thursday, that means it's time for some more Song of Rapture, as DM'd by the wonderful Monsieur Omen. We're all here, we're all ready to go ahead and get started, so without further ado, Monsieur Omen.
So when we last left our valiant vanguard, they'd come to the head of a very bloodied battle against what seemed to be the second in charge of a great cult that had some power over the deserts of the White Sea in southern Mobia. They found themselves at the end of a great battle, but not without great loss. Though, can they turn this loss around? And what exactly transpired during this battle to bring them to this state? Who's to say? Would someone like to give us a quick little recap on what happened in the last episode of Song of Rapture? Perhaps a little bit longer. It's been a little bit since we played the game. Maybe someone needs a longer recap to bring us back from the beginning to the ends of this event. Going eins, going zwei.
All right, motherfucker.
I have relative knowledge of many things. I could try.
Oh,
Too
yeah.
late.
I
want
have
it, Peter?
relative knowledge. All right.
Peter.
Brendan, me and you. All right, start us off.
All right, yeah.
Give me a starting point.
We'll have a scotch. Starting point.
All right.
So, in Song of Rapture, we found ourselves a little bit dilemma with Samantha and the tragedy that's happening out here in the wastes of the desert, as it seemed like a winged serpent had called upon a cult of sorts to gather the Yuan-Ti together to harass the local populace, stealing people away, and more importantly to Samantha, besmirching the name of the Yuan-Ti and the Serpent Empress. So we found ourselves heading back to the capital to find out what's going on, talking to some powerful beings to learn of the whereabouts of this creature and what it had
You're
planned.
going really far back.
As we found in the middle of the city, the wind started to pick up, and the winged serpent himself appeared before us.
And Peter.
Okay, hang on.
Line?
That was so long ago. Dang, why'd you go to the
Yeah,
beginning?
for a long one. I'm doing the whole arc, baby.
Fuck! You're going back like months. I was expecting.
You got this,
okay,
man.
Last time we
Did the
started
whole
at the dungeon. All right, fine. Shit. Yeah, as the party approached the summit, and I'm trying to I have relative
got this,
knowledge
man.
of many things. I do.
Go for it.
I
Maybe
believe in
it's
you.
correct. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Yeah, as the party ascended I was about to call it the pyramid, the ziggurat, we came across a startling sight. We saw were they paladins of Lathander,
Yes, sir.
I think? Okay. I was gonna say kill him for. I was like, that doesn't make sense. They're all the same god. Doing some weird shit. Not doing anything. In front of us is the winged serpent with his iridescent wings, scales, or something, looking very spooky. And upon his head was a crown with a black hole on top of it. Oh no! As combat ensued, we came across a very interesting crossroads. Every time magic was cast, the hole got bigger. We realized that that's probably something really bad. So we had to endure and figure out a way to remove the crown from his head without casting, well, I shouldn't say without casting a minimal amount of magic, because we don't want the hole to get bigger, because otherwise that would be bad. And we managed to do something, I think. I think Corin, grappled it off.
Yeah, pried
Right.
off the shovel. Our new friend
Yeah,
Corin,
pried it
a
off.
little adventurer that we found in the
Oh, yeah, that
gladiator
guy.
pits here.
Taking it back, we came across this weird, what race are you? Are you a gnome? Or
Halfling.
something small.
Halfling.
Halfling. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Nick. We came across a weird halfling in this arena as he beat up a dragonborn. Tomoicon fought him, and Tomoicon lost, because he's a loser. Big fat loser. And Colin joined us in our escapades, because he also had a grudge against the party. I think he stole his name, and something else he wouldn't tell us. As yeah, he was working under the 10. Speaking of the 10, we also visited them, and we got to go into the vault again, and then we got to see an old man who's stuck in a crystal. It was weird. Crystal man.
You got this, man.
But as the
Crystal
crown
man.
was ripped from his head,
Anyways,
on
as
top
the
of the
crown was
pyramid.
ripped from his head, going back to a relatively present time, the crown was ripped from his head and given to Samantha, I think. And so Seth was defenseless, and then we beat him the fuck up. Loser. Like some
Raziel, Samantha's little compatriot, actually took his body for his own, reclaiming his wings that were stolen from him, as Seth was no more.
Again, Swithalla like took his blood and did some sort of ritual thing for her contract or something.
Mhm. You certainly did.
And
As Samantha's the
yeah,
sight
something
of
will
her,
happen later
a
on.
change of heart of sorts. The followers that had been sort of questing with her to end Seth saw her in a different light, and something may have sparked in their minds a bit. But there was still more to be done, as there were still some Yanti out there being part of this cult, still up to no good, as we wanted to root it out from, well, the roots, I suppose. So there was one last place we had to go before leaving the desert.
Dungeon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As we found out from Hodor's lady friend, yeah, she was currently being witch hunted or something to that effect, as people have been missing in her inn under her protection, and people think she's a Yanti activity. She probably has something to do with it. She didn't have anything to do with it, but that gave us a lead and also a boat as we pursued the lost Yanti, I think. And that led to us capturing a couple, killing a couple more, and interrogating more to find out the location of a dungeon. I believe a temple to Medusa.
I think the chief of the
You know-
information actually came from one of Samantha's little scouts that she recruited a while ago to investigate
Okay.
the area.
Mm-hmm.
They were after a certain lieutenant of sorts that was under the winged serpent. I think Vistus was personally involved with one of them. Isael,
Yes.
maybe?
Seems like Vistus was one of the people who had been kidnapped to this temple in particular and had his humanity stripped away and becoming one of the emotionless Yanti. Kind of becoming a monster in the process, or at least in his vision he was.
With
He became
his
a snake.
lead, found the temple far to the south at the edge of the mountains, southwest, west, at the edge of the mountains. As we entered in, wanting to rid the place, but Samantha, with a bit of change of tactics, said that we were not here to simply wholesale slaughter the creatures within, to teach them right and wrong. It was to save those that could be. The pure bloods, those that had a more humanoid form and could prove that they could still function in society, as seen by her little followers. But the Malison, the mutated creatures that were born of this horrible pit that we've been hearing stories of, were not to be saved. Were to be cut down and removed from the
Acid
world.
pit.
As we entered the dungeon.
Oh, now I have to do.
You got this.
As our group, as our intrepid explorers and Samantha's entourage, ascended into the dungeon, we found it quite trapped, especially in our sort of exploration and combat here. We come to find out that the entire dungeon has been rigged with a sort of poison. Something that's, while very ineffective against Yanti, I guess they are immune to poison, very good at incapacitating any humanoids that find themselves trapped or otherwise stuck in here, to lull them to sleep, rendering them defenseless and able to chain them up. As we come to find out, that's happened to a couple prisoners, especially, what's his name again? Vistus?
Fistus.
Anyways, Vistus found his long-lost family.
Found a little turtle
And we
boy
also
that
found a
we
dwarf.
came into, and
Yeah, the guy that
Wait,
gave us
gnome,
the talisman.
And fucking Magnus.
And the gnome. The gnome, Agnes.
Uh-huh.
Isn't he also a halfling?
Also a halfling.
No, he's a gnome. He's a gnome.
No gnomes. Fuck gnomes. As we rescue the
I have
hostages.
successfully rewrote history.
And ventured further into the temple, fighting our way through more Molisans and strange traps of sorts, even finding the hint of a devilish incursion or infernal incursion. I don't remember which one they were.
Abyssal.
Abyssal!
Demons.
Big bad boys. As we cut our way through,
The
stopping a
3Ds.
ritual, cutting off the source of this pit to transform these creatures, as we even found a little bit of treasure. But finally, after a bit of rest, after we get accosted and a little shorter rest, we ventured onwards, fighting off the poison and discovering the strange creature that lurked in the depths of this place. Go.
Fighting through an awful
Is it the
hallway,
mummy?
I love
Where's the
it.
mummy?
At the same
encountered
time.
a whole host of powerful necromantic magic that
We fought a mummy, and then the mummy actually had a demon inside of it, and then the demon came out the mummy, and then we killed the demon. And then that's where we are now.
But not before
Oh yeah,
the
Corn
demon
died, but that's
whisked away with our poor
Let's-
corn!
Let's
Cut
stop
him
and
to
reel.
shreds.
Let's stop and reel it in real quick. Go. We'll start over.
Let's start over from the beginning. Let's go.
You walk
No
into your
way.
room and you
No.
found yourself.
We start in March 1259 during the monarch.
Jesus. So they entered into what seemed to be a bloody and horribly desecrated throne room
Oh.
dedicated to some sort of patron, but instead sitting in the seat was a horribly desiccated and torn creature wrapped in rags, seemingly not fully alive in its own sense, barely clinging to its own life and held within its heart some foul entity that, over a very bloodied and, although well-fought battle, they were able to carve out of its form. And inside was this horrible-looking serpent, something almost akin to a Yanti, but its body was twisted, multiple arms, armor that seemed to be embedded into its own flesh, a warrior from the pits of the abyss itself that challenged and fought and cut down at least one of the members of the group, despite their efforts to hold it still and overpowering this creature with a great showcase of skill. It managed to slip away, and as they pursued it down a
God.
long and winding stream, it seemed by the time they reached it and finally ended its life, this creature clutching in its tail that now goes slack was their new friend Corin, the brave little halfling who'd given his life to help protect and fight for some newfound friends. And that's where we will rejoin the valiant vanguard, with this tiny little friend, moments after his perishing, clutched in the arms of their druid friend Persephone, who seems to hold his life on the very fringe of her magic. As I'm gonna go ahead and say, Brendan and Peter, get some DM inspiration for that fucking mess. God damn it, y'all.
What can I say except you're welcome?
As indeed, let's see.
I think I already have inspiration. I need to go check
Oh,
my character.
If you
sheet's
do,
still
you
up.
might need to go roll a little bit of D100.
You.
Let's see. As we'll put on some music, sure. As we find ourselves returning to this now seemingly quiet dungeon, the battle has ended. The blood still spills from open wounds, but now we find our valiant vanguard gathered around. A sad sight, to some familiar, another member of their group, a recent one, lays slain, now clutched in the arms of Persephone. Around you, Swift Hollow swiftly goes to the bottom of the river and retrieves some plates of metal that seem to remain after this large demon reduced itself to strange black abyssal goo, while Kuldor clutches in his arms a bundle of swords. That's Persephone. What do you do?
Persephone is going to take Corin's hands and place them over his chest and pluck a flower, put him in his hands, and leave her hands on top of his folded. And it seems magic begins to glow from her fingertips, running through the petals of the flower. She's going to say this incantation that she learned from her little oath of Lifebringer for this revivify. Heal what has been hurt. Change the fate's design. Save what has been lost. Bring back what once was thine. What once was thine. As she casts Revivify.
Give yourself some DM inspiration. Good shit.
Yes.
As Corn, you feel this, I guess in this cold, somewhat empty moment, you feel a moment of warmth wash over you, and you hear a voice ringing in your ear. You're not fully conscious yet. It feels as if something in this, now only realizing that you're here, this blackened pit, carefully, gently caresses and clings to your form. And as you hear this voice, somewhat familiar, it rings with another, something incomprehensible in your unconscious state. But it almost sounds like within this musical note, there is another voice reaching you, something within you, soft and gentle, only just barely familiar to you. A voice just recently heard in your mind, as along with the voice of sweet Persephone singing you back to life, you hear that incomprehensible voice of the God within, the God whose voice you managed to glimpse in those previous moments, tackling that creature in the depths of that kettle. And as light begins to return to your eyes and your senses become yours, you see things, glimpses, pieces of knowledge, familiar, unfamiliar, and overall strange. The first of which is a dark night, or perhaps you're simply encased somewhere. It's hard to say. You find yourself surrounded by people, shadowy figures that have since held you down. Despite your size and power, Corin, you have been contained, and you feel this horrible talon pressing against you. Your head barely manages to turn to face it, to see the whoever it is taking this from you, something so dearly important. And all you catch glimpse of is this hunched back humanoid. It's really hard to say. A creature wearing a tattered robe, its body twisted and deformed, its only real defining feature, despite having a single eye that glamps and gleams as if made of either metal or glass, false in its nature. What truly defines it is a long, curved, hooked beak that peeks out from the edge of this cloth, some twisted, bird like face that the moment its claws touch you, you feel something tear from you. You watch as you lose what is most precious to you. The light becomes clearer, and you see something unfamiliar. Another dark area, enclosed, kept contained, perhaps underground. The air seems stale. There are no signs of life here, only, I suppose, just a single image. A pile of bones very carefully laid out. Something like of a mausoleum, but contained within are the remains of some great leviathan. Something laid carefully as if by the hands of possibly someone of great organization, or at least of tender care of the dead. The one thing that really make note of, despite its size, somewhat familiar to you, is that this thing has no skull. A pile of bones left without a head. And the last sight, just before your vision returns to this world, is a strange sight. Strange for many reasons, but ultimately simple. You see a city, high in the sky, surrounded by a sea of clouds. It cuts through the air as wind blows around it, standing tall beneath the beaming sun that even now seems to be slowly but surely swallowed away by dark winter clouds. But the city you see, although it rings familiar to you, a city you might know, shocks you when you see it. And then the light finally breaks. These visions, these glimpses of sights familiar and unfamiliar break for you, Corn. and instead you see a dimly lit cave ceiling. You hear the sound of water rushing around you, and you feel warmth from the hands of someone cradling you close, and the sound of her beautiful singing reaching your ears, as well as followed by a tremendous amount of pain that now awakens within you as you find yourself brought back to life.
As Corin wakes up, his eyes just kind of like abruptly open as he just tries to sit up quickly before crunching back over in pain.
No. Slowly.
So, what happened?
You were eviscerated by an evil creature.
I think you still have all your bits and pieces, though.
Oh, that sounds fun. Is it? I assume the fact that you aren't all eviscerated as well means that we won.
Of
You
course.
won.
We have enacted righteous vengeance on your behalf.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna take a nap. I'm gonna take a nap right here. To my concurrently.
Of course, my little friend. I was gonna say I was gonna heal you, but I've got no spell slots left.
You put your hand on it, waiting for some magic to come out, and pff, all out.
Although Tamar is also just covered in wounds as he reaches out to pick you up, Corin. You start to see some of his hair sort of glow golden and start to stitch some of his own wounds together. He's gonna start.
I give Corin a little healing word.
Let's see. As Corn finds himself resting and healing from some magic, thanks to Persephone. Let's see. So Talo finally surfaces from the bottom of this deep pit around this island, holding what seems to be like, it almost looks like the plates you'd expect to find on a suit of half plate. Something that would attach to a frame that straps to a body, but there's no strap. There's just separated plates. And attached to one of them, sort of like embedded into what should be the breastplate of this half plate, there seems to be a single, looks like shattered emerald gem that, as you sort of poke and play with it, sort of try to see if it comes out, it seems to finally pop out from within. You expect it to fall into shards, but despite its damaged state, the emerald within remains intact somehow. And there is a cold that comes from it as a flash of light seems to hum from within its depths. A sign that looks like a part of a language that I don't think you would understand.
Does it look like a symbol?
It looks like some sort of symbol in a language that I don't think you understand. And as you stare at it, it seems to shift in shape ever so slightly.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
take a few
pockets this.
moments.
And he checks.
So I reach over to pick up Corin. My hand begins to shrink as I shrink back down to normal size, as I only had it for a minute.
You want to take a moment now? You don't want us to go back to Roka? Because we can do that right now.
Oh, how about them loaded?
I don't know if there are any others
Yeah,
in this place.
that's not fine.
Sort of Samantha sort of just gestures with her staff towards the door across from us.
Seems defeated now. Make sure this place is safe.
And make sure there are no others like myself who need to be shown a better path.
I haven't second winded yet. Nice.
Indeed.
The fellow swims over to the door and checks it for traps.
Sure, give me an investigation check.
And boop.
Boom. Yep, looking over this door, you do see it seems pretty well good state. The bottom of it seems to be covered in some sort of dried sediment, as if this, this stream had probably flooded a couple times at that point and reached out in the store. Fortunately, it seems to be well sealed, but little worse for wear and torn. And then you notice at the bottom of this door, just like the others, just like the one that Samantha had kicked open before, if this door were to be opened so carelessly, with one either pushing ahead or stepping harshly upon this flat-looking plate, it would set off a set of spikes that would reach up to touch you. You could try to disable it. Let's see. Let me check you real quick. Yeah. Let's see.
I got a couple
You
tool
think
proficiencies.
you think you could just easily disable this thing with your incredible skill, your talent's so reliable.
Nice. Yeah, Swatala checks over the door and crouches on down. I assume it's like some sort of pressure plate and flips it up.
Yep, seems like it's a weird, slightly inclined pressure plate. If someone were to like possibly slide across it, it might be fine. But putting all your weight down on your footsies or your ankles would definitely set this thing off. So easily enough, you find where this thing's been gently raised. You either cut a rope or you tear away some of the small machinery inside, a piece that keeps this thing aloft and held at a strange angle. You gently lower the plate down, and now there's nothing that could possibly remove this or I guess set it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Swatala steps on it a couple times to test. Make sure.
Seems fine.
Seeing how it's disabled. Alright, the trap's disabled. We can move forward.
Alrighty.
So
Or
what?
you should stay towards the back.
I could do that. What happened to the creature?
It literally evaporated into nothing. All that was left was its armor and its blades. More than likely, torn back to whatever hellscape it once came from.
Well, that's
But
lame.
But she did say something we've heard several times, that the veil is thinning. But she also said that they've been waiting and watching. I guess those on the other planes, they know this is happening, and they're waiting for their opportunity to come here.
We will be ready for them.
Do we not want to give Corin a chance to heal? I can cast some magic to aid that process.
If you can do it quickly. The poison last time nearly completely wiped out Persephone.
Don't worry, I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine. I'll just stay towards the back, like Coulter said.
Sort of look at you with a bit of genuine concern. Fair enough.
Swatala presses forward.
Alrighty.
Tamar,
Taking the
where
door.
are you swimming?
He said, "Hey, you're having a hard time back here."
Yeah, look to the north, you see Izael just sort of catching his breath now. It seems like he's taken a bit of a beating himself. Some of that magic has lashed into his body. Some of his skin seems to be grayed, where that blast of magic seemed to have touched and tried to drain his life, that terrible red abyssal light. But now he sees you approaching, he pulls himself onto his feet. The thing is gone now. We find no time for rest. We press forward. We shall go. As he steps deeper into the water, sort of catches himself in it and just sort of carefully swims, although clearly it seems like he's taking a beating. As the door slides open, in Swift Hollow, the first thing you see as a light, at least low light in this case, pours into the room, is the glint of eyes looking back at you. As in the wall, pressed up against these tiny, like, alcoves bored into the wall, sort of seated, like in a, almost like, not like meditating, but like on their knees to the side, resting on what do you expect to be like a cushion, but there's nothing but stone floor beneath them, is a woman whose eyes gleam with that bright emerald color and a sharp dagger-like slit running down its center as you stare down the eyes of a pureblood. And the whole room around her shifts as to your left, to your right, although you're just peeking through this doorway, you see glimpses of more movement. I'd say with your high intelligence, easy enough to tell, you've found yourself a nest. Although these creatures don't immediately reach for blades, seeing the numerous creatures behind you, the one clad in armor and bloodied, you untouched, just holding weapons in hand, and those still stirring and moving. The purebloods inside just simply come alert and put their hands at their side, looking for something of an escape, and some of them begin to shift around the room nervously.
Make way for the Serpent Empress, the great Medusa, who has come to rescue you from your foul ways.
As he says Medusa, I misty step into the room.
The moment you appear, this one gets up onto her feet, like presses her back to the wall. Who are you? Why are you here? You here? And sees the wounds on your body and the blood washing off of some of you. We will serve. We do not want to die. I want no part in this chaos.
A wise choice. We have come as liberators, not only for those you have taken, but for yourselves as well. Stay your hands and gather your things. We are leaving this place. All of us.
We're moving to a new temple. We're being relocated. What do you want from us?
I will discuss
Liberated
this.
from?
You are being liberated from the path of the abyss, from giving yourself up to a goddess who no longer wants you to do such a thing. I will explain more when I get you with the others.
As there's a moment of silence among them before they just start stepping away from their alcoves, still eyeing all shapes and movements unfamiliar to them suspiciously. But they just sort of keep them themselves for the most part, but if directed to move, they will otherwise follow after you or otherwise follow your direction.
Hey, I've still got control over you. I actually can't give you a piggyback ride. Perfect.
Is there a path through here back to the main temple?
There is a path. It leads across a dangerous pit full of serpents.
I will see
Are you
to
to
it.
escape?
We are to leave. You are to come with. Lead the way.
Where's that? Where's it sealed? Now they have a mechanism to open them, but to the north, the stream, it flows from the outside to an oasis. It is also an escape. Should we go to the doors or the river? There are boats, but not many for all of us.
You will help us open the doors. The prisoners must be freed as well, and they are waiting.
Alrighty. As these creatures will very carefully, very suspiciously wander out of the room, sort of finding their way. Let's see. Yeah, they lead you through the dungeon here. We'll just kind of drag you guys through some stuff real quick. Give you guys some peeksies.
Hey, yoink.
Let's see, get you there. We're just gonna conga line. Ha 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 ha. Hey.
Yeah, what's all this? There's like secret black space all over here.
Yep, we're gonna drag you dude over here. So yeah, we'll keep him here. He's with you anyway. You guys find yourselves wandering down this long, it looks like this whole room, although completely cramped for the number of creatures in here, seems to be where they keep most of the purebloods or otherwise other creatures that serve the Yuan-Ti. Not much living space for them, though. It seems as if their own personal sleeping quarters are composed of this 5-foot cube, essentially. As you enter here, you find what looks to be a long, winding pit that you are carefully led around. To the floor around you, there seems to be a deep pit about 50 or so feet down that is only holding you aloft, rather, by what seems to be planks, sort of jutted into the wood itself. And if you weren't so carefully guided, only probably the most dexterous or careful of your steps would keep you safe walking here. Looking down, you see it looks like a pit of winding, multicolored liquid, but it moves in tendrilled shape, and it's obvious to some of you after hearing the sounds of hissing that seem to swarm the room This pit is filled with countless serpents deep within. They all seem to writhe mindlessly. Even you, Samantha, able to understand their callings, it seems almost maddened. It seems like they're in some sort of either hungry or something else frenzy, all molded and rolling on top of each other. Something has maddened these serpents.
They have like serpent rabies.
Seems like something has literally just given them into either feeding or breeding frenzy. This is like a big old massive swarm of snakes. As you guys find yourself entering the familiar looking hallway, it seems as if you find what looks to be a door that's since been opened. You find yourself to the same pit to the north of you, a deep pit of mud that seems to be now filling this, I guess, pool of churning liquid that's slowly becoming solid, but for now, still hard to cross. To the south of you, it looks like some sort of workshop of sorts filled with bloated, twisted corpses, things that had been obviously experimented on in their time here. But the other side, it looks to be a storeroom with doors that lead open to, looks to be something of a small camp. Possibly either a place where the purebloods gather when they're not sleeping in their alcoves, a place they might work, connected to the stream. And otherwise, you would find yourselves somewhat carefully trudging back through the mud. Up to the north, through the area again, now completely destroyed, and back to what looks to be the throne room, having avoided the river these creatures will have to fucking drag their bodies through. And eventually, to the far north, thankfully still protected by the magic that grants protection from the horrible light within, back to the room where you fought this desecrated creature. And one of the Yuan-Ti seems to search the walls very carefully, finally finding a small pinhole along the wall, and within opens and slides one of the looks to be a mural to the north. And you find what looks to be a secret, somewhat secret, looking sanctuary of sorts. Oh god, stop moving. Stop moving. There we go. Walls lined with gold, pillows, soft and silk, somehow kept clean inside this place. It looks like something that a matron of sorts would find themselves comfortable in, but looking outside back to the room where that lieutenant, that man carver resided, it's almost like a stark contrast, the differences.
I go sit in the corner where there's obviously nothing of importance, so get myself out of the way.
Yep, looking around here, you'd find a combination of what looks to be lots of treasures scattered about. You'd find, let's see what we got. You'd find yourself a pile of scrolls that Tamarkan has made himself a nest upon. It looks like some strange magic, some not fully legible to you, some arcane in nature, others actually holy, or perhaps unholy in nature. You find yourself some spell scrolls of Circle of Death, Contact Other Plane, Hallow, and Magic Circle, all of which reside at their normal levels. You find yourself what looks to be piles of gold and coins, mostly copper and silver at this point, but they seem to be scattered all about, hidden around what looks to be vases and jars that all contain treasures within themselves. You find it looks to be a set for like drinking. It looks like maybe a gold-lined glass wine pitcher and a cup. It seems to be really fancy stuff you'd find out in the desert, possibly in Roka, but here, kept mostly pristine despite all the damage and carnage you've seen. You find, it looks to be amongst some of the jewels here you find scattered about, a set of diamonds. 3 tiny little things, just enough to fit in the palm of your hand. You'd think probably valuing them, they probably only have about 100 GP value to them. They're not common. Diamonds aren't common things, but they aren't the most extravagant looking ones you found. You do find one nestled right on top of one of these jewel-filled urns that seems to be pretty expensive. You think this thing will probably measure up to about 500 GP in worth. Pots, these clay urns around, you do find some of them are completely filled to the top with various gemstones, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds, all different small cut sizes. About 50 of them in total. You think each one's probably only worth about 50 GP for a total of 2,500 GP. You find what looks to be, what do you call it? A really fine Alphatian Usek collar. For human translation, you know that to be like the sort of winding, like pharaoh-like braces you wear around your neck that roll across your shoulders, lined with gold and other bright colors of old ink and paint. Very prestigious looking. We'd expect of some old, I guess, White Sea royalty. You think this thing's probably worth about 5,000 GP. You find within that, let's see, swords. Okay, cool. Besides the coins on the floor, you do find one small, strange-looking object. It looks like a small vial that is filled with this not thick, but still viscous-looking oil inside. It seems to glitter with some sort of gilded powder within. You swirl it around, shake it. It seems as if this thing is almost liquid gold within this vial, although it clearly has an oil-like consistency. As looking this thing over, sort of just, I guess, testing its properties as one always does with potions, you'd find yourself holding on to something with a familiar shape, at least to Samantha. Gilded upon this glass surface of this vial, you'd see swirling silver that on the other side is marked with, it looks to be plating made of gold itself in the shape of a pressed hand. A symbol of someone possibly from your long-lived life, someone whose life you've once influenced, now given some manifest form in this jar as you find the touch of the golden hand, an oil that perhaps with a bit of application to an object can transmute its form into gold. As you would find...
Oh, shit!
All that. You find all that.
Fuck yeah, Omen. Oh, shit. I forgot about him.
And within the room, one of the Yanti... Actually, no, probably one of you guys. Swift Hollow, with your incredibly high passive investigation, would notice by the mirror here, there seems to be next to this wall, I guess next to it, see like a small like candle? A candlestick, rather. It seems to light up with a small green flame, something clearly magical in nature. And as you go to look at this thing over, you sort of touch the candlestick and twist it, and you hear this sort of like shift, almost like a mechanism within the table itself, and the walls sort of churn around you. And in the mirror, you can see similar like shapes of, it looks to be the outside and inside of this dungeon itself, as if this glass is infused with some sort of scrying magic. And then you hear the stones grinding against each other past the edge of this dungeon. A sound familiar to you, though now muffled down these halls. Oh, you found the other world of metal. That was, what's his face? Sotalo. Plates of metal.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
As,
Are
yeah.
these like, are these like blankets or?
Those things hanging up are
Yes.
curtains, basically.
Yeah.
Big, beautiful lush curtains that sort of offer privacy if one just simply wanted to lounge or take a partner in here.
I'll go, I'll grab one of the curtains and I'll just start loading up the coins in the curtains like a knapsack.
Okay.
So what exactly did I find?
You basically find a candlestick that you twist and move, and it seems to activate a mechanism that sounds like it's a lot of stone is being shifted and pulled back into the walls here inside this massive stone dungeon. Sounds like you found the mechanism that opens the doors.
Ah, okay.
You did it because you got crazy high passive investigation.
As everybody's looting and investigating everything,
I
I'm gonna go over to where the big old pillows are and plop Corin down, give myself my legs some rest. As without my big size, hauling somebody around is a little bit of a struggle with my not super high strength. Plop him down. Go in, my friend. And to say, I'm sorry that you had to experience such a thing. Did not exactly expect to see close to the end of one of us. Are you alright, my friend?
Yeah, I'm alright. Actually, I might want to go back again. I learned a lot when I was dead, I guess.
You saw something.
Saw a couple things. I assume one of them was Skyreach. I mean, there's not a lot of cities in the mountains. Something looked off about it. I can't really put my finger on it.
We, in our travels, we passed by relatively recently. I could feel something within the mountain itself. I have a way to touch on what is around me. Feel the life of it all. And it certainly did not seem right. I think if I'm talking to people that have ventured there and back, it seems like it is playing with their minds a bit.
That's not a good thing. You should never play with people's minds. I mean,
Hmm.
one of the other visions I had, I thought I saw the Sovereign. Then it turned out like they had a beak, like one of the Kenkus, but I don't think the Sovereign would be a Kenku if he's the same as the rest of the incantation.
Interesting. True enough, I would expect them to be a man.
I think the last vision is more about me, something holding me down, but I'm not too certain. Maybe the cult, or I guess you wouldn't really call them a cult since they don't call themselves a cult. They're probably a cult.
Something that to you. I have to admit, Corey, that I was thinking it's obvious when Samantha is here. And the rest of us here to help her along her way. She's helped us in the past, but you, I think you have more than paid your price for once you want Hamas. I feel like you have overpaid a bit, and eh, I felt a bit of your metal, as it were, in the arena. And watching now. You're a good man, Corey. I've enjoyed this a bit. But I have to say, if something is tied to you, you said you wanted us for help. Would you mind truly sharing with us? For I am here trying to find two allies. And it seems through my brother's little trick, I may have found another.
Well, I told you, the the cult of the Sovereign, they stole my name. I mean, I guess I didn't tell you everything because it's more fun for mysteries. But I mean, Samantha figured it out. Uh, Basically, I mean, you've dealt with my situation before with, I mean, the way Samantha introduces herself slightly incorrectly. She calls herself the Slayer of Obsidius the Pretender, but that's not entirely accurate. You guys slayed Obsidius, name and all. Dragon names have power. The person you killed wouldn't be as powerful if you didn't have Obsidius's name. Just like I'm not as powerful without my dragon name.
You are a dragon!
Or was.
That is interesting. So when taking your name, you have become like this. Let's sort of poke him in the belly.
I mean, I guess there's no precedent for this. Usually, when dragons have their names taken, they're already dead.
Hmm. And you think that you can reclaim yours, yes?
I hope I can reclaim mine. I don't want to be a halfling forever.
I myself find myself in a new place, in a new way, and a new me. Although I have accepted it more than not. You do not like this form. You wish to return to something more legal, as it were.
I mean, I like this form sometimes. Like, I could change into this form when I was a dragon, but I could also go back to being a dragon, and I can't do that now.
Anyway. Corin, I would like to offer these. My name, as it is Tamer Khan. Khan, a title of one of few in my brothers. We are in a bit of a competition to see who will win. And to do so, I need those to aid me. I have seen who you are. A good man. I would like to offer myself to you in service. Retrieve your name. And hopefully in doing so, You will see it in your heart to aid me as well. When the time comes, you stand by my side, and hopefully you think me a good man as well. That sound alright to you?
I don't see that. All right. What did you need help with?
Eh, to become my father. To rule again. In my own little way. You see that I am not from this place. In the Feywild I reign. My father is looking for another life. He takes one of our 3 brothers to become his new mind. And we must prove ourselves to be the one who is chosen.
So do you guys just like beat each other up, or
Competition. To venture out into the worlds, to even the other worlds, to find something worth claiming. Take it and return. And also, to prove what our type of leadership will be. To bring back people that will prove that there are those worthy and willing to follow us. Be it companions, worshippers, even slaves at times.
so you just can't go beat your brother up? Because I can. I'm pretty sure I could take your brother.
No. Certainly being a master at defense, to strike one's opponent down, to be a power of the leadership itself is important, but certainly not the only thing that is important in ruling.
Sure.
Wonderful, my friend. Well, it certainly will not be today. No tomorrow. I think we have many more adventures on our path. But from here until then, let us enjoy ourselves, shall we not? So I just like clasp him on the shoulder.
Oh, that's still painful.
Apologies, my friend. Yes, Tamar just sort of lays back on the pillows and giggles to himself. And there's something about that just sort of reassuring giggle that you feel something. You feel a little bit of a deeper connection to Tamar, and as being part of Tamar and the rest of the group, you feel that a tingle as you sort of feel like you might have been attached to something.
Good shit. Give yourself some DM inspiration. That little ticky tap.
I just got some. Now I gotta roll.
Mm-hmm.
Roll them bones.
Not bad.
Hey. All
I'm
right.
gonna take the the wine pitcher and cup set and the 500 GP diamond. If no one else has a need for anything. Did anyone
Yeah, I'm
else
gonna
want
take the
anything in
giant
particular?
collar thing.
The pharaoh neck thing.
Yeah.
If no one wanted it, I was gonna just sell it and split the GP. I was gonna give it to the like museum or the whatchamacallit? Library.
Well, just wants to look fancy.
It's cool. They're
It
just
belongs in a
finally gets all the
museum.
shit in this giant curtain. Does anybody
Diamond did you
care
take?
if I give the coins
The
to the
500 GP
refugees
one.
that were left here?
I was thinking that would be a good idea. And even the new Yanti that we're bringing back with us. Starting over isn't easy, but this can help.
If I were ever to be kidnapped, I would certainly like to be returned rich.
You see Corin kind of reach out towards the bag of gold and coins and just take his hand away.
Oh.
My hoard.
Oh, what's that? You wanna give the coinage to the
Yeah, the
survivors?
copper, the silver, and the 600 GP. Just the coins, not like the gems or anything else. What is it? It's like
You don't give gems to the poor.
900 GP.
They can have the copper. Keep the gold for us.
Here,
Give them all the
I was-
copper.
here's
yeah, that's
here's
fine.
200
Pennies.
pounds of copper.
I don't want fucking
Well-
pennies.
See, that's kind of like where my mind was going. I was like, okay, how do we give these people jumpstart money to start their lives, but also not break the economy by
That's like-
having all of these
economy's not our
people
concern.
suddenly raid?
That's
It's-
Owen's
It's, I mean,
problem.
we're not.
We need
Anyways, keep
damage.
the gold
It's
because
damages.
it's a lot. I mean, 8,000 copper is literally just 80 gold. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, because what? It's
I think
a
we can keep the
total
silver
of,
too. We
yeah,
probably should. That's
800
a
GP.
sizable.
That charitable act sure is getting less charitable, y'all.
Charitable. Well, our charity is saving the fucking world.
We saved their lives, and I'm like, let's give them 800 GP.
Yeah.
Because the
Also
gemstones
good.
we can use. Yeah. Like, we're
Uh,
going to
Yeah.
get like 110
Wait,
GP. each,
Homer
forget that, like, just
brain.
give it to 'em.
Gold can be exchanged for goods and services.
As you guys gather your supplies.
Only gold. I wanted diamonds. Gold can buy many diamonds. Explain.
As you guys would gather some of these things. Yep, Kohler doing a good job gathering up a ton of these coins. It seems like you're actually gathering up at about just one of these curtains. They're pretty voluminous enough, and you're strong enough that you can just sling this entire like hobo bag over your shoulder. That
Fucking Santa
sort of-
Claus.
Santa Claus bag full of money. As you gather your things, divide some of the obvious things up. I guess maybe take one of the urns just full of gems, make it easy to stick into a bag rather than pouring it out inside. And yeah, gather the rest of your things. I'm assuming make your way back to the entrance now that it seems like this place has been opened. Yes? Alrighty. As you're walking through the dungeon, again, having to sort of carefully step your way with some of these creatures around the big mud pit, you do see one of them walk up to the gong in the middle of that room where it once was before, and through one of the walls, you could see it slide its hand across what looks to be a mural of a serpent, and a wall opens up, and a pathway leads you back into here, the same room you fought the big old bone boy. And eventually, you find your way back here to the center. I'm just going to pile you on top of each other. Where it looks like the hostages have since seemingly found themselves awakened. And strangely enough, as you've traveled through here with seemingly these mechanism
Oh, Jesus,
walls
how many of them?
opened up, oh boy, you'd find that with the doors open, the air, although still somewhat dank with staleness, still smelling of blood when you first entered the last room, you find that the air is no longer filled with that horrible toxin. Your lungs breathe easier, and with the doors open, you find that long down this tunnel, reaching up to the far reaches of that ramp you entered, a small gleam of dim light shines down into this dungeon. It is clearly evening at this point, but you'd realize everyone here is a way out now. And yes, a bunch of unconscious dudes are among them, so they're fucking worse for wear, y'all. Get the shit kicked out of them.
We
It's
have
okay,
the
we'll
other
just
Yanti
have-
carry them.
We'll have our newly minted Yanti to just carry them. This is your
Well.
first act of penance. To carry the people that you kidnapped.
Here's a stick. If they start waking up, just bop them.
Bam! Except got into your life, bam!
And then
As you guys will make your way up the ramp, you'd see some of these people still relatively worse for wear. A lot of the people who have been stuck here for quite a long time, even with it seems like regaining some of their stamina, are still stepping slowly and heavily. Some of them might actually sort of clatter against the wall and require some of your aid to sort of pick them back up. Again, as you can discern quite easily, even if you're not an expert in the art of medicine, these people have been deprived of the proper needs required to survive, living in very squalid conditions for who knows how long. They are several levels deep in the condition known as exhaustion. Even little Magnus just seems to fall back. Oxen seems to fade from the air. He's just laying, breathing slowly, quietly, his frail little form cradled in this large turtle's hands. And as you enter, you see Vistus now
That
waiting
poor
for you
gnome.
guys up the path, standing next to his, looks like his beloved and son, guiding them now. He looks exhausted, as if he's been basically standing guard this entire time, focused entirely on guarding these people, and now finally seeing you guys emerge, bloodied, beaten, but alive, with news that this creature has died, the one holding this place under its influence. you would seem to finally relax. As Raziel wraps back around your arm.
I think it would be good
They
for
would-
us to leave this foul place and perhaps camp on the outskirts of it. Allow people to enjoy the fresh air and regain some of their stamina.
Indeed. And there is business I must attend to with the Yonti. Persephone, I am sure you have called on a great deal of your gifts this day. You would not happen to have something that can seal this place away, would you?
That's
Buried beneath the earth, perhaps.
no.
Why would you assume that?
Shall I take one of our new friends and go find the boats that have been ferried away?
Did we not find the source of the poison?
You did. It seemed like once the doors sealed, poison started emanating from some source somewhere in here. And it seemed like now with the doors open, the poison stopped seeping out. You walked back, the air seems mostly clean in here. It's no longer trying to make you guys sick, and the people who are now sleeping here have woken up. Seems like once the poison's out of the air, they're no longer constantly breathing it. They seem to be perfectly fine now.
Okay, so there's no actual place. It was just being pumped in. It was just, yeah, we just have poison. The poison's just in the walls. We got a bunch of
Basically.
it.
Enough of it coming out of all directions. Like you could spend time trying to seal it away, but there's
Okay.
somewhere else putting more poison.
They do poison.
As indeed. You guys just heading out now? Seems like you guys are sliding out to the wilderness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, we'll get people to have a little rest. I could go take one of our Yanti ladies to go find the boats that they mentioned were hidden away around here. They were attached to that little waterfall. Find
Yep,
the
seemed like-
outsider.
It seemed like that there's a stream that runs through this mountain that they could boat through to get out of here, but this is also another way out of here. So they're just
Oh,
looking
is it
out
a
with you guys.
boat? It's not a sand boat? Oh, okay.
It's literally just, hey, there's a boat in this river we could take to go through the mountain without just swimming the entire way.
Never mind.
So, yeah.
Then. I thought they
As
meant
you-
sand boats that were
Oh
like,
no.
hurried away that they were using.
As you would all find yourself stepping out into the evening in this small oasis outside of the temple. Again, it seems like you've reached, I think it's about at this point, 5 o'clock in the evening. Through the point with a mountain behind you, there's definitely a shadow stretched over this area. It seems like you have a little bit of daylight left before finally it's going to fall behind it, and you will find yourselves in dim light, evening taking over. But now you find yourself with well over, I guess at this point, 18 plus 4. Yeah, well over almost 24 Yonti purebloods with you. Some conscious, some not, and as well as the prisoners you have with you. Quite a haul of people. And as you're sort of walking out, you see this. Let's see. Oh God, pull her out real quick. Somewhat in better spirits. Young, somewhat young, actually young for her stature and size, dwarf woman. Step out next to you. Let's see, leading the group, it'd be cooler because he was in the front. Oh, thank you. You know, you think a dwarf would be a little more used to such intoxication. But spending so long in there. Oh, yeah, it's gonna take some time to sleep off. I introduced myself to you. I think I did. Leah Lightfane. I can't help but notice you seem very familiar. Did you come from Skyreach? I think I've seen your face around there at times.
Indeed, they call me the Quill.
Oh, you were the sharpened quill. That's right. I never actually got to meet you, but I'd seen you had brushed shoulders with that. What was it? Sir Hudson. You've got quite an influence there. I didn't expect to find you and meet you in person here in dungeon. So you're here playing Liberator, huh? I to thank you for that.
As I'll just automatically switch into Dwarvish. And what brought you here to the White Sands? Why did you leave Skyreach?
Oh well, why I left Skyreach is a bit of a different story, but I can tell you why I'm here. First, just random question: did you happen to see anything in there a little strange, like statues in the deep? No Nothing that looked like it didn't belong there.
Not a bit. Everything completely normal in there.
Everything looked odd there. We
But
did
like
see some
nothing.
statues. A
But like
Medusa
nothing.
statue.
Ah, that's nothing then. Oh. All right. Well, I thank you for saving me, and honestly saving me another trip back in there. Hey, well, truth be told, I'm actually looking around some old dwarven ruins. See, I don't really have much of an occupation, more of a hobby. Money in my pocket, at least it was in my pocket. Searching around some of our old people's ruins. These temples, beautiful. Well, mostly beautiful. Been a bit defaced, you can tell. And demonic magic, a bit of sort of whispers close in dwarvish. A bit of that snake presence. Can't say I care for it, but temples around here in Mobia, although they found new owners, they've all been crafted by the dwarves of old. And all of these old temples here, at least in the Mobia land, there's something about them. Something I've been seeking that I haven't been able to find anything regarding. There's... I could tell you the rest of the story later, but if you've got clouds in Skyreach, I might actually need your help there. See, that mountain's a bit of a trouble, and there's something in that mountain that I've been wanting to find. Something that might help me find answers to the questions I'm seeking.
Are you seeking out Irongrad?
I certainly am. Surprised you know about Irongrad. Must have you're a bit of a historian. Sorry, I'm about ready to pass out now. I don't think I've slept very well in the last 3, 4, 5, 7... I lost count of days.
This is my intention for us to go to Skyreach next. And find this Irongrad. And find what is within the mountain. Get your rest. You may accompany us.
I think that might be beneficial for both of us. Those dwarven fortresses, hard to get into. And then she sort of just slumps against you, as it seems like the last of her strength was used in this moment of intrigue, and she's just passing out now.
We'll just pick her up. Just lay her down.
Easily enough. As you guys would find yourself stepping outside the temple here, you find, I think Estraka came with you and was sort of just buried you here. You'd see her, actually... Yeah, you did come out this way. You see a large serpent sleeping among one of the trees here. Not a lot of beasts around this area, but the moment you guys approach, she slithers down this tree and pops up, quite happy to see you guys. Oh, you're alive!
We are.
Not for lack of trying on the Malison's part.
Oh yeah, they're very, very mean. Did the big snake talk to you?
Yes.
Did you say nothing to it?
Not quite. My curiosity got the better of me.
Oh,
In the end, I blasted it to pieces, though.
But that works. And she just sort of settles down, and she sees the swarm of Yanti exiting the temple with basically following. She kind of looks around nervously, but seeing their demeanor somewhat, although cautious, but now without the oppression of the Malisons around them. She would spend some time just going around to each one, just sort of talking to them. Sort of, you'd see their shocked expressions as this strangely expressive pureblood, full of emotion it seems, is greeting them friendly without any seeming sign of hidden intentions, and she seems to be trying to thaw them out a little bit. But yeah, otherwise you guys would find yourselves having a little camp outside of this temple. Anything you're going to do in particular?
I'm gonna pull Samantha to the side for just a moment. Okay, that's like way more people than I thought we were going to be bringing back. So I guess my first question is, can they all turn into snakes? All of them? That might make things easier.
Hey everybody, how your snake game?
Hey, is it extra sneaky? Extra sneaky,
I'm only
sneaky?
asking because you know when I open up a tree into like a crystal cave and it takes us to other places, but I have to push everybody through. It's because the magic doesn't last for a very long time. This other magic I have that can take us directly back to the silken seabed is the same thing. And I figured more full-sized humanoids, the harder it might be to get everybody through.
Well, we are right by. Cradle Keep, are we not?
We have to go around a whole mountain.
I mean, we're at the base of one at the moment, but it is not a universal trait that the Yonti can all turn into snakes. Some of them might be able to, but not all of them, I would estimate.
When we
Maybe
were
we
tracking the the dragon before, we found the passage through the mountain. Simply did not take it last time because of the car. We could certainly find it again, easily enough. Should be able to guide us through it. Although to make it all the way to Skyreach, it'll probably still be a few days.
I was thinking Cradle Keep. We have.
You guys are all over the place.
Oh,
Persephone's just
oh,
gonna
sorry. I meant
roll-
Cradle Keep. I don't know why I said Skyreach.
Roll out her
Cradle Keep's
map.
on the other side of the belt.
I click my map button.
Yeah. Seems like you guys are currently stationed about here. You would have to basically carve your, like, basically your pack you found in the mountain was up here. You definitely would have to basically scale and work your way around to get here. It would take you a few days. If you're thinking about magical power that might teleport you, something newly acquired by someone, you would know that it does create a large radius of entry that would allow basically anyone who walks inside in that moment to just be transported. It's not so simple as walk into tree. It might create some sort of 10-foot radius circle. Just someone throwing out some information in
The
case.
diameter.
You know, maybe. Who knows?
Smaller
Diameter.
than that.
Still big. Walk into it, poof, you're there.
Look,
Everyone,
no one really sweats over how long things take, alright? If I've learned anything over these fucking 4 years. We all hold our actions, we run into the circle.
I'm sure we can make it work. But do you want to take everyone to Cradle Keep? I thought. I guess it would kind of make. We have a lot of people. Are you trying to separate them or keep them together?
I was just positing an alternative since you seemed concerned about your abilities. And Cradle
I'm
Keep was the
trying
closest city
to-
I could think of.
The closeness of Cradle Keep doesn't change the fact that we're traveling with a lot of people.
That's fine, we can protect a lot of people.
I'm just going to do my thing tomorrow and we're going to go back to Roka, if that's okay with you.
I was not taking into consideration your strange, unpredictable magics, Persephone.
all over the
hadn't-
pages today.
I had not planned on having you teleport us or transport us or fly us, but if you were able to do so, then that's fine.
Well, yeah, that's what I planned for. Because I knew we were probably going to find people that were going to be tired and maybe traveling for days and weeks in a desert with hungry, thirsty, tired people. It's not a great idea. So let's just skip to the part where we throw them back into civilization.
There has been a misunderstanding here.
Let them be teleported. As usually, I'll just Jelly pushes you guys apart, puts you on the same page. Goodness.
According to this old book I have, we have to walk through the desert for like a really long time before I can
Like
find them a new
40,
home.
40 plus
Yeah,
years.
40 years or
like,
something.
Beans,
generations,
y'all.
Just in circles.
Oh, how many are there? Oh, God. Sorry, y'all. sorry. I'm gonna remember like 5 of your names. The rest of y'all, sorry. Yeah. Otherwise, you guys would find a mostly peaceful evening here in the desert, unless there's anything else you gotta do. Some role playing. Yanti would basically be sticking to themselves. Istraka would probably be lingering after her mingling with the group, probably just on the edge, sort of keeping not her back to the group, but just sort of keeping her eyes on the surrounding thrush of wildlife around her. Isaiah would tend to himself, and Vistus would be sort of spending this moment of peace now, just sort of resting. His head's laying on his wife's lap, and Son's just telling him, sort of catching him up on life, it sounds like, in a hasty way. But the rest of y'all.
See, I'd give away the coins. I'd spend half of my 4 hours of the 8 hours that we're resting, whatever, hacking and slashing the living shit out of the entrance to collapse it with my sword.
Just a constant
Yep.
For
And
4
then I wanna-
hours straight.
Just
Yep.
finding keystones
Some
and
people like
destroying
go
them.
farther away, you know, like to, and then I do want a corner core one at some point.
Yeah, before we sort of like separate out to get rest and stuff, just look at Cora and think, Colin, you mind if we share what you saw at that moment?
For the rest of the group?
Yes.
Oh,
I heard what he said.
I slightly assumed they were here because they were like 5 feet away from
Oh, yeah.
us.
Yeah, everyone.
My 18 passive perception told me that I heard everything that you two talked about.
It certainly seems that Colin's problem must be connected to where we go next, which also means whatever is under the mountain may be connected to the Sovereign as well. It seems like he has his hands on just about everything that's going wrong in these lands of late.
You
Yeah,
said
why
the
not?
one that the one that took your name had a beak?
Well, I don't know if that was what took my name, but it like had a grasp on me, and I wasn't. It was a strange fish, and I think I heard the voice of my goddess again when it happened. Maybe she was giving me hints of, I guess, the future. I don't know if they're all connected or if they were just potential ways to go.
You would definitely remember that strange side of that creature touching you was a strangely familiar moment when everything fell apart and sort of led you here. I would say the moment that thing touched you, it took something from you. It was like a memory seen from a third person. It was your past, it seemed.
It was definitely. I don't know who it was,
I was gonna say
but
that. God damn it.
I recognize it. It was like, I think whoever the strange beaked creature was is what caused me to lose my name. I don't know if that's the Sovereign or if that's a worshiper of the Sovereign. And
Did
then,
you say that you do not remember exactly what happened?
Any feathers? Like a mantle of black feathers.
they were wearing a strange cloak. All I really got was talons and a beak.
Maybe not the sovereign itself, but yeah, it's one of his followers. Something under the mountain that took your name as it is taking others' memory.
Could have been. I did see Skyreach. It seemed different. I've been to Skyreach before when I was a dragon. Well, I mean, as a humanoid, but I was still able to turn into a dragon. You know what I mean? It didn't look the same. There's something off about it. I assume whatever underneath the mountain was causing it, but I can't put my finger on it.
The dwarf that we were able to rescue seems to have a bit of knowledge of ancient dwarven ruins. Such one exists in the middle of the mountain. I suggest that we use her history and skill set to find such a place and see what dwells in the heart of it.
So we have our next
That'd be a
hitting.
good idea.
A wise and fair assessment.
I differ.
That's good. I wasn't sure how much longer the people of Skywitch would be able to hold out.
Sounds exciting.
Can I go to bed now?
Of course.
I think we'll be heading to Roka tomorrow morning, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And from there, I don't know if there's any preparations that need to be done, or if we can just head to Skyreach.
There's a tree in Skyreach. We could just go to Skyreach. I mean, unless you want to take a moment to get the Yonti settled in. Are you just going to drop them in Roka and say goodbye and leave?
That might not be the best idea. I don't know if the populace would be as forgiving as we are.
Nuzo would be able to help them get assimilated within the White Sands.
That would be
Indeed.
a good start.
It may
Give
be
them
good to make an announcement to the commoners there of your victory, Samantha.
I do not want to promise what I cannot. The Yonti are not a monolith, and the White Sea still has its threats. I'll see to it that those we have saved can find their own path. And I'll have those who I trust to help guide them. Nuzo hopefully being one of them. And perhaps also Isael. As I'll probably also see if I can't pick up some healing tools and the like with some of our increased funds. But we should be good to go. Samantha will turn to go ingratiate herself with the Yonti for a bit.
Okay. Yep. Seems like most of them have found themselves settled, a bit confused by this situation, but a few of them seem to be a bit more accommodating to the now open space. No, not really much of an authoritative figure, though, as you do approach, it seems like some of their relaxed demeanor immediately stiffens.
Have you been able to benefit from a short rest at this point?
I'd say if you took some time to let Corin nap a little bit inside that one room, you guys could definitely get some short rest back in. Unless you're just laying him down for a half second and picking him up. But I'm assuming you guys spent time going through the wares and then giving time for the poison to.
Well, that means I can heal so much. Give me all this key back. Immediately eat all the key.
Nom, 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 nom.
Nom nom nom.
How are you supposed to open any locks then? That was a great one. Fuck you guys. Yeah. Puns aren't supposed to be funny. They're supposed to inspire a primal rage inside of you.
Yeah, you hate laugh at them.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
They're not supposed to be funny. I'm supposed to elicit a reaction and not a good one.
But yeah, you guys would definitely have time to lick your wounds earlier. Still recovering from some of them. Seems like you guys took quite a beating there in that old temple, but for the most part, I think you guys have all your shortly rested abilities back. Return to some stamina. Is there anything else you want to do? Anything you want to say to the Yonti, or what's going on?
We'll take 10 minutes and ritual cast Identify on the gem.
All right. As Swifthollow, holding on to this gem, spending some of this time here, connecting your mind. What's it look like when you cast Identify? I don't think you've cast it yet.
Oop. Yeah, Swift Hollow takes a variety of tools. It's quite hard to measure, quote unquote, magic at any sort of capacity since Artifice really is an experimental sort of magic, but she seems to take out some sort of esoteric tools. They seem reminiscent of what one would use, not calligraphers, but I can't remember what it's called. Sort of strange devices that look like rulers, except rulers, valves, nozzles. It's really weird. It's like trying to use science equipment, almost. Except
Okay.
it's attuned to magic somehow? Tesla seems to put this thing into a tube, swirl it around a bit before having a variety of tools to just monitor what it does. For the course of 10 minutes.
Watching. It's fascinating.
Using a strange combination of hardened technology and science with what seems to be some magical touch from her elven nature or something she's recently tapped into to reach closer to this emerald. And I guess through your own understanding, you didn't really have much interaction with it before when you held one of these objects in your hand. You'd simply seen it passed around the group and eventually taken in the hands of your knight, Quillor. But now you hold something very similar, something you've last seen in the deep, I guess, hot volcano where Obsidius had been slain. This emerald holds within it a shifting rune, still not a language you understand, but you would be able to, I guess, with your identify spell, figure out that it holds within it the nature of the lower planes, this place where it seems as if the darkness of all worlds seems to fester and grow, and from it, as you'd possibly have seen firsthand, these horrible fiends seem to crawl out with only the cause for destruction. A piece of that darkness, that horrible abyssal magic, has been lodged within this crystal, housed inside of it, and seems to be accessible. You can pull the magic out through your will, simply by holding the crystal and connecting with its magic, or, as Quildar seemed to have done before, that magic can be carefully extracted and implanted upon an object, as you hold in your hands the rune of the lower planes. This rune, embedded into a broken but still maintained emerald, gives you access to some abyssal magics, as well as some resilience against the power of fear and other sorts of mind-boggling spells and abilities, while also granting you the power to channel that magic to invoke fear in your enemies. But if such magic were to be channeled to a weapon, it could bolster the metal to make it something more otherworldly and stronger. It can toughen your armor, or even make your magic a bit more potent, if not infuse them with the power against fear. You find yourself another magic rune that you can just use as is, attune to it and spam its action to do cool stuff, or you can shove it into a weapon and grant it a bonus.
Huh. Rune of Fear.
The mark on the front of it kind of looks like a beetle.
Fear beetle.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
see.
I can see that.
Aura of Malice.
Yeah, Persephone even like traces around the body. It's like, see, that's the body, and that's its little pincers over here, and these are like its back legs.
Yeah, strangely enough, Persephone, as you're watching this thing, it does seem like the central mass of this ever-shifting rune seems to expand out, and it looks almost like, yeah, like the legs of an insect, and then they seem to grow in number until there's 6, 8, 10, and then contract back to itself, forming all sorts of new shapes. But yeah, that's what you identify. What the rest of y'all?
Well, when Purse is done watching the identify ritual, she's going to tend to Magnus's wounds.
It's actually
yeah.
kind of boring.
It's okay. This is Persephone, okay? You swirled bottles.
Okay.
Things
Well,
that she's never.
Objectively speaking,
It's
it's
actually
really
kind of boring. Persephone's like, wow, what are you doing? That's so cool.
Because it just looks like Swift Hollow seems to be taking measurements, notes, and writing things down. 'Cause, yeah, in a
Persephone
weird
did
sort
it.
of way, Swift Hollow in an esoteric kind of fucking, wow, these are really weird terms. Frightened, +1.
Just reading the sheet. God damn it. As, yeah,
Ta-da, welcome to
Persephone
science.
tending to Magnus, you'd find that his wounds are mostly superficial, just sort of bruised up. It seems like he's a little too small for his cage, and as they've shifted him to and fro in that pit, probably got banged up in there. But most of his, I guess, damage, you'd call it, is not really something that your simple healing touch can mend. It seems like him, as well as many of the creatures around you, have just been completely worn. It's what happens when creatures have been kept in such desolate conditions, barely fed, barely watered, barely kept alive just to sap their strength. It seems as if what these creatures would need, unless you have more of that magic that just pump back energy into them to revitalize them, they would otherwise just need time to rest. Roll me a medicine check, actually. See how much you can figure out by looking these creatures over.
Let's see.
Nice. You'd see with most of their states, the guards seem to be somewhat relevant recent, as well as the young lady, seemingly the beloved and child of Vistus. In their current state, they seem to be the best off for the most part. They're probably, you think probably maybe about 4 days or so, they'd be fine, back on their feet, moving at tip-top condition. The others, including your little dwarf friend who now lays unconscious, probably you think maybe close to a week. They need some time to rest and recover. Take some break from adventuring to find their strength again.
How'd you manage to find yourself trouble this time? You go to another big trading event and then they picked you up?
Magnus just sort of stirs a little bit in his sleeve. Lady Blackburn. I'll do it. It's fine. Don't worry. Accomplish it.
I'm just for 70 gets closer to hear him. Lady Blackburn?
No, it's fine. I'll get done. Promise. As you see him sort of roll his hand on his neck, and you'd actually, yeah, I'd say with you tending to him so closely, you'd sort of turn him over and you'd see on his back, like just below his neck, between his shoulder blades of his torn clothes, you would see, it looks almost like a tattoo, but the skin around it has been somewhat compressed, as if a burn had come with it some ink, as there is a strange small brand pressed into his upper back. He seems to itch it almost like painfully in this unconscious, semi-conscious state, but otherwise just seems to go back to his still form.
Yeah, I gently move his hand away and try to get a closer look at this brand.
Indeed. Let's see. It looks as if quite literally, don't know how long ago it was, but it has since scarred over and become a part of him. Something had just completely pressed into his back and left a mark, though you don't really recognize. Give me an Arcana check.
None.
It almost for a second looks like an elvish word, but it's perfectly symmetrical on all sides. And the closer you look with your incredible perception, there's just more and more small details in the flesh that gets to the point where you don't even know where to start heads or tails on this thing. Strange looking tattoo.
He's just like examining these markings and taking note of the scar, formerly burned skin around it.
Agnes, what happened to you?
As she continues to tend to his wounds quietly.
Good shit. So about the rest of y'all, this evening seems to be coming to a close. I'm assuming you're taking a long rest, so Fuldor eventually would come out of his trance and start hacking away.
Yeah, once I see Corin's up, I'm gonna go have a conversation with him.
I'm gonna sneak off and go back to the dungeon. Tamar saw a little alcove thing hidden away in the water that didn't get a chance to go scout out because he's a little afraid for the little Corin boy. He needed to get back around. He's just gonna go around, explore around in the temple, just have a good time. Everybody's relaxing. He'll come back in a little bit. He's only gonna spend like 20-25 minutes or so, just sort of wandering around. He enjoyed the idea of the place there. Now that the poison's gone, he just wants to explore. He hasn't just like crawled around in a place in a while.
Sure. Corin, are you gonna wake up, or are you just sleeping through the whole thing? Because it seems like if you're awake, Kuldar wants to have a little chit chat with you.
Yeah, if he wakes me up, I was intending on sleeping all right, but if he wakes me up, I'll wake up.
I figured he'd wake up early in the morning. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna sleep for like 12 hours. I mean,
Yeah,
we
he
got out
might.
here
He
at
died.
5.
Yeah, I was gonna do regular 8 hours after that.
So you see Corin stirring, maybe waking up a little bit amidst his resting. You go over and say hi to him. Seems like you have something to say.
Corwin, do you have a moment?
Hmm, yeah, what's up?
So just kind of walk a good distance away from the group, from prying ears.
Drag him away.
Yep. Drag him out in the middle of nowhere to kill him.
I heard you say that you were once a dragon.
Yeah. What's up? What's wrong?
Do you still have the memories of that ancient and noble race? Or were those taken as well?
I have memories, so there weren't a lot of dragons around. Actually, neither of my parents showed up to my birth.
And so I'll switch into draconic and really low tones.
Have you ever heard of a dragon named Avarin?
Have I ever heard of said dragon?
Roll me a history check with advantage. Ooh,
That's
as
athletics.
Damn. Oh.
19
nice
plus.
19.
What's your bonus, baby?
Oh, that's athletics. Oops.
Yeah.
13, so 2 less. 32.
Damn. As indeed, there are a few things that you would know in this world, Corin, that basically no other creature would even have word of. Out in the far expanse of Hearth, small tidbits of information, something that you would possibly, in your somewhat longer-lived life, would have sought, considering your state. This name, you remember hearing it once. Name of a great dragon such as yourself. Not just of nature, not just simply of being draconic, but truly of kin. There aren't many dragons of your kind, your specific kind, in this world. They've since long hidden themselves away, supposedly, after the end of the ancient war between they and the creatures who defied the Titans. You were, at least your kind at that point, were once allies of those ancient races, and have since hidden themselves away in the depths of their most fortified or otherwise requiring protective cities. You would know this name, Averin. Someone who allied himself with the elves, and as far as you know, still resides among them as one of them.
Yeah, I know. I know of Hefford. I never met him, but he was like a protector of the elves, and probably still there as an elf.
What sort of dragon were you?
Me?
Silver, copper, black, blue, red?
Oh no, I wasn't. I wasn't a chromatic dragon. Those are typically not very nice. I was a brass dragon.
Hmm.
So I'll reach into my pocket and I'll pull out this small little scale. So I'll just kind of hand it over to him.
What's this?
So you hold a little brass dragon scale in your hand.
Well, look at this. This isn't one of mine, is it?
No. It is from my mentor and dearest and oldest friend, Avarin.
I didn't know you knew other dragons. Usually they don't tell people that they're dragons. There's not a lot of trust towards dragons anymore, especially after the war. But did he give you his scale, or did something happen to him?
He gave it to me.
Well, it's a very precious thing. We should hold on to this. So I hand it back.
I have kept his secret for my entire life, and I will take it to my grave. But I know how rare it is for a dragon to meet another. If we ever make it back to Zamaria, I would very much like you to meet him.
I'd very much like to meet him as well. I don't know any dragons, actually, except they all kind of went into hiding. Most of what I know about myself, I learned from the incantation.
Well, we will allow you to see your kin again.
Preferably unslain. I know Obsidius was a good dragon, but we don't kill all dragons, right? Right, guys? Everyone's far away.
We only kill those that would want to destroy this world. There are still good in dragons, even though many, even those of my kind, would disagree with such a thing.
That's good. So I give Kodor's, I guess, the waists. Or how tall are you, Kodor?
Fuck, I don't know, 6'2", 6'3", 6'2".
Probably waist high. I give Kodor a waist high hug.
We shall recover your name and allow you to transform back to your natural self as well. And then maybe for once you can carry me.
I mean, I'm sure I could probably carry you right now, actually.
Just pick him up.
I try to pick Kodor up.
I think you possibly could. How much can you lift?
How much can I lift? What is the weight?
As far as
calculation?
lift for you would be 30 times your strength score, but you do count as a size larger. So you would basically be, I think, large in this case. I think. For
Still
lifting, let's
medium,
see. Let's see. I thought I had it a certain way. Read your boon. What's your boon say?
Your boon gives you
Oh, my
hacks.
brain's melting. Boo, 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 boo. Your provision large. You're
600
considered to be
pounds.
large. You're considered to be large in size when it comes to calculating your carrying capacity.
So 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, I think Cooler weighs less than 1,200 pounds.
I sure hope
I would
so.
hope so.
As yet, with a bit of exertion, Cooler, despite being heavily armored, quite a sturdy and hardy elf yourself, feel your feet go off the ground. As this tiny little man, this tiny little dragon, is able to pick you up off your feet.
It's still pretty strong, which catches a lot of people by surprise. And if you look at me, I'll start carrying him back to the camp.
He carries you back to camp.
We.
God damn it!
It's good shit. Give yourself some DM inspiration,
Right.
John.
Good ship.
Fucking good scale shit. That was awesome. Ah, the connections. As indeed. Anything else you guys want to do? Samantha, what are you doing?
Yeah, talking with the Yonti. I'll take some time speaking to those that will listen, and to the invisible assassin boys, the ones that are all fucked up. I'll just sort of tell a short tale from of the Serpent Empress, and sort of call upon that strange budding force within myself to invoke a bit of divinity. Because I can channel that through my staff as well, right?
Hey, Ken. You can either
Okay.
spend a spell slot, or you can spend a number of charges equal to the spell level you're casting at, to a maximum of 4.
Yeah, so I'll do that for a 4th level prayer of healing to channel some healing magic into them. And let me take that on down
Okay.
and heal those
Words
guys
carrying
up.
power. Seems to bring them back to consciousness.
I'm sure enrapturing Israel. And after a certain point, like as the night actually starts, as people are starting to get ready to go to sleep, I sort of take a moment to try to address the Yuan-Ti as a whole, the ones that are hopefully now alive and conscious. We are returning as a group tomorrow morning to the city of Roka. I am sure you're at least familiar with it, if you are not from there. As I've spent some time getting like names and occupations and stuff what people did before this whole cult situation from them alongside the Soraka. You have been led astray by Seeth, but at the same time you have been unguided. The Serpent Empress has been silent for quite some time, and the only one who I have found who has maintained their faith in me is Israel. Sort of place a hand on his shoulder. He is a lot of things. Faithful, steadfast, and quite a strong ally to bring into a fight. But I think in his own journey, in his own adventure, he has found change in himself. I sort of look to him, looking for some sign of confirmation.
He sort of just nods his head slowly. We were made for a purpose. A purpose that guided us towards darker parts of this world. He sort of motions up towards... At this point, something's early and they're resting, so someone hasn't started their deconstruction yet. The entrance of the temple. Those that led us to the pits of the abyss allowed our humanity to be swallowed away, eventually leaving us hollow, as we thought we were meant to be. But I've discovered there is more. The humanity that was taken still resides. It simply must be kindled. No, that is not right. It is not fire within us. It is a seed. It must be given reason and room to grow. We must find purpose. Purpose all on our own.
I have spent millennia nurturing the idea that you must fold your base desire to take and consume, to fill that emptiness in each and every one of you. By taking power, whatever you can get your hands on, you might one day feel whole. But you would never feel whole. It is a tragedy. The story of Argos has been lost to so many of you. But I hope you will take this chance and rediscover what it means to really live on Hearth. To go on your own adventures. To find your own purpose. And that sense of fulfillment that comes with it. Some who I have encountered, I have sent on their own pilgrimage, much like myself, to change myself and the world around them for the better. To meet new people, see new things, and expand their horizons. And that is an option to you. Through the valiant Vanguard's generosity and my own, you will have coin at your disposal. But think, truly think, of what will bring you something you haven't truly felt before. A sense of happiness. A sense of fulfillment. I know I look much less regal in all of my beautiful carvings and statues, mosaics and paintings. I have been sent on my own pilgrimage. The first goddess has seen fit that I grow and learn from the people of Hearth. Hear them and see them in a different way. And put a stop to something, well, that needs to be stopped. But I hope you will believe my words. I hope that you will believe our actions in bringing you out of that place, taking you away from the abyss. The Serpent Empress is no more. I am Medusa, the matron of serpents. And as a very good friend has told me, as seasons change, so do we. Hold on to that. It has been a North Star in ways I did not expect. And there is one more that must join you on your journeys. Isael, if you would, as I will take the silken, or slippery, I always forget what it is, bag off of me and pull our wonderful friendo out. Big old 140-pound Yuan-Ti man. I must make amends to all of those who have been led astray. As I will take that 500 GP diamond, hold it in my left hand, and sort of just kneel next to this failure of mine. Once an empress, but now a matron. Hear my call, lost child of mine. Turn away from the raven's call, and let all that is lost be restored, and all that is broken be mended and made whole, and all that is disturbed be brought back into accord. The mistreated becomes the cherished, emptiness becomes fulfillment. Let all that is tainted be made pure. Let all that is despaired find the hope to endure. Death become life. End become start. Return to me. As I say that, the diamond in my left hand just shimmers with a soft green light and slowly dissolves away into dust as I cast and raise dead.
As the magic would glow quite a while, your words carrying power, slowly the diamond carefully breaking down over time, as it does take an hour to cast, but you would, in that time, catch the eyes enraptured, watching as this magic slowly blooms to life. The eyes of the Yanti, something they've never seen before. Something that your own experience would know. Yanti live amongst their hives, following the orders of their higher ups. They are, in their purest form, foot soldiers, if not, I guess, fodder for those who reign above them. They look to you with fear and immediate sense of, I suppose, subordinance, as in this moment, they're watching you do something that no Yanti has ever done before them. A higher up kneeling down, a Yanti of greater power lowering herself before this broken corpse, separated head from its shoulders, although now carefully aligned by Izael's hands. And you'd see them watch a creature who, through their understanding of life, would have no reason to care for them, gently caress and speak life back into this creature. And at the end of this magic, once the diamond has fully dissolved, the wound around this thing's neck seems to seal itself into something of a scar, visible only in close inspection. And this thing's chest thuds, a slight twinge, and the Yanti awakens. A soft breath, not a gasp for air, but a gentle return to life. As before all these creatures, anyone awake and witnessing, you'd see Samantha bring the creature back to life from the fringe of very, very obvious death. Unquildored, and now the Yanti look towards you. A shocked expression across all of their faces, even those touched and just like the creature you revived, I guess mutated by toxins and poisons, catching a glimpse of emotion upon their face. As it seems, even in your, I guess, relatively low wisdom, this newfound connection you have with the Yanti people, you can feel it just simply looking on their faces now that you're on their level, now that you rest with them, breathe with them, talk with them. You have their hearts. It seems as if no longer looking to you as, a superior with fear, they look to you as someone to hold hope in. Let's give yourself some game inspiration. Break the neck off. Okay. Don't cross me.
Dragon symbol. Israel, where we go next? I will go more or less alone. I would hope that you would offer guidance to those who would see you as someone that I trust.
I will accept this task with the greatest honor. To lead the people underneath the new leadership, the Matron of Serpents. To find the true path, no longer winding in loss. But as he sort of looks over at Vistas, who seems to be now just resting, I believe the others, and he turns over, looks at the edge of the camp. You can see Israka staring off into the jungle. The others may not be so devout. They may have their own paths to walk.
That is true. I have promises to uphold. So I just place a hand on your shoulder one more time and give a soft and sincere smile before moving over to Isaraka.
You just see her sort of not kneel, I guess in this case, actually sitting cross-legged, staring off into the forest. You come around the edge of her and you actually see she's not staring at all into the forest. Her eyes are closed. She just seems to be breathing in gently, taking in the sights and the smells that perhaps, although your serpents are very akin, seems like she might be sensing something deeper within, and then she notices you step up next to her. This place is much more loud than it was before. When I was playing part of cultist, the presence of these things, those terrible things in there, silenced the jungle. But now it is stirring with life. It is beautiful.
And so too are you in your own way, now that it seems you have some greater understanding of what it is you want.
I suppose so. I think, as much as I wanted to be a serpent, I really wanted this feeling, this connection around me. And she sort of rushes her hand gently across the ground where she's moving not through sand like so many Yanti do. Instead, it's thrush, it's grass and weeds. And she pulls her hand across it, and you can see some of it start to thicken where she touches. So rare, this nature. So rare in these dead deserts. A place where my green scales becomes one with the wilderness. I would love for this to become my home.
I had a feeling that was the case. There is a part of me that would ask you to watch over such a place. And let it become part of nature again, as nature has seen fit to reclaim it. Sort of looking at the temple, roots and moss and like all growing through it. You think you will be fulfilled here?
There's only one way I shall know this. As you've shown me, uncertainty and doubt, such things that cloud the mind and leave one hollow, wondering, they can only be found through venture. Perhaps this may not be my home, but something calls me here. And so I follow that feeling. She just shifts into a serpent form, now coiled up on herself.
Well then, I am happy to hear these words. And should you ever need my aid, well, perhaps a word on the wind.
You will know where to find me.
I will come visit. And thank you for guiding us, and for, I am sure, providing some balance between Israel and Vistus while you waited for me to return. Both of them far more temperamental in their own wonderful way than you. Samantha just sort of feeling a sense of satisfaction from what she feels like is upholding her end of the agreement, and from seeing someone she considers to be a close friend fulfilled, at least in part for now. She turns with a soft smile from Isaraka and heads to Vistus.
You do see him sleeping with his head in his wife's lap, although as you do approach, he kind of shifts a little bit, seeing you walk forward, and his head sort of just lifts up a little bit, and he sits himself up, brushing past some of his hair, looks right at you. I have no words for you. I apologize. This is... I did not expect. I can only thank you.
You have made peace with how you are now.
I wanted to be a monster because I was made into one, but I learned that was not true. Though others may see you with scales and fangs, though you may be created with purpose to cause harm, to distort, to deceive, the purpose does not have to be your own. Not if others see you in such light. It's all it takes sometimes, I suppose. Looking to those who care for you and those you care for. There's just something inside. He looks over to the other Yanti, sort of gathered up and gathering their things, some of them speaking and whispering among one another, and then some of them actually tending and looking over the newly awakened, incredibly weakened Yanti among them. They also need such guidance, but I am not built for such. I will leave that to the martyr. But I wish to return to my home, within which I suppose I can offer something to you. The traitor prince. He spoke of words to seek such end of persecution among our kind, so that others may see us the same as you, this vanguard, and my beloved see us. I am not much for words, but I can stand in part for you with the traitor prince to push for a greater future, if only to speak words on your behalf.
That would be greatly appreciated. Well, then, I can quickly put into words. I am sorry for what it is you and your family have gone through. It is my penance. For when your children misbehave, someone must be held responsible. You shall not want for anything, and should you ever need assistance, the Vanguard will always answer. I will take out a small bundle and slide that to the, I'm sure very tired and pretty wife and mother.
Oh, yeah.
I will give you a letter of recommendation to give to Etzaza, so he knows you speak in part on my behalf, Vistus. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, little one, for your bravery. As Samantha and Les stopped, gives them a soft smile, and heads over to the campfire to write a proper letter of recommendation. And if wifey happens to look into the bundle, hopefully discreetly, it is 100 platinum pieces.
Just hear stuff. Oh there! In the background. As seems like quite exhausted. We would see on her face with one of your serpents that she immediately reacts in surprise, kind of looking close to inspect to make sure it's one silvered coin and not another, and then gives you a very hearty smile, and then guides her husband's head back down to her lap, and he just immediately passes out again. As all this is transpiring, the night going on, Tamar Khan. Deep within this dungeon, you find yourself sneaking down throughout this place. It seems mostly emptied now. You find all sorts of different arrangements. You find boxes full of supplies, some of them rotted away, others looks like just some simple travel wares. It looks like pieces of a put together wagon in case these things need to try and gather supplies. You find yourself ultimately culminating around this stream you peeked down before, and instead, walking along its surface, you find an alcove surrounding which tons of rubble. The mountain itself has completely, almost nearly collapsed around it. And in the depths of this place, you see a strange sight. Beneath a pile of rubble, hands extended out about 10 feet tall in this sudden break in the mountainside, you see a pair of stone hands, slightly strangely deformed, maybe about 3 to 4 fingers broken off, possibly at some point, holding with between them a basin filled with water.
Do we have it? Look down into the water.
You look inside, it seems, for all intents and purposes, besides some rocks that have spilled from the surrounding rubble into it, surprisingly clean. Clear.
I'm a cleric. Tamar does something that he very rarely does, because he very rarely has the time to sit and not move. But Tamar begins to cast a ritual.
Uh-oh. As what are you doing, my friend?
He's going to cast some detect magic out of the magical reserves, but he knows that a bit of time refocusing is key to change it into something a little bit different. Giving enough time for certain amounts of magic, he can change his sight to see magic itself. It'll take 10 minutes to see if there's magic about.
As your senses blink, and all around you, you could see this mountain edge. Before, it sounded like Korn was able to smell in the dungeon traces of transmutation magic running through the walls. Here, you see none of that. This is just natural stonework and stone face. What you do see, however, in this water held before you, a strange sight. You see the clear indication, at least in a glance, to be also transmutative magic held within the center of this basin, but it's so strange. You blink against it for a moment, and it almost seems like it's about to change to another type of magic, changing color. I don't know how you'd perceive it until you blink again, and it's back to transmutation. Almost as if its form is constantly shifting from one type of magic, almost changing to something else before returning back to its home state.
Probably going to sneak out and go find my little friendo who's really good at magic-y stuff all of a sudden.
Waking up Corin?
No, go find my friend Swift Hollow.
Oh.
Going on excursions together.
Gotcha.
Go invite her back. Say I discovered something.
As you sneak back out, pop her in here. There you go, Sotella.
You were there all
There you
along!
go.
Why you follow me into your fucking...
I followed
always
you the
a-
entire time. I'm always
Lightning.
following you.
Here it is. I'm afraid my eyes can only see so much, but there is something that changes within the depths of this thing. You think you can figure out what it does?
I guess I could just identify it. Alright. Why not? Well, after all, why not? Why can't I just identify it? As, yeah. Smith Hollow will do that. Pulling out her instruments. Sorry.
Sure. As you start
Hang on.
trying to... Oh! Ah!
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry, I was listening to something. Someone was talking to me. Sorry. In the middle of the description, yeah, Smith Hollow pulls out her instruments, pulls out this weird stuff with wires and starts just attaching things to this wood. Seeing in full contact with it. As, yeah, she runs diagnostics.
As you start sort of trying to figure out the properties of this water that Tamarkan claims is magical, you put your tools inside, trying to commune with it, trying to figure out its properties. The first thing that happens is the moment some of the metal of your tools touches the water, you sense that feeling, a moment of transmutation, as you identify that, I guess, property. And then you watch as the tool itself shifts in form, as if the hardened metal becomes liquid and begins to immediately twist and turn, and like almost like some of the metal becomes like melted and starts springing out into small little spikes, almost like it's becoming alive before retracting back to its original form. As the transmutation magic inside of this liquid seems to be constantly shifting all of the metal inside of your tools. And as you look closer, you can see inside this thing, from the rocks that had fallen, there are these tiny little pores that within the water, you can see tiny bits of glimmering metal being pulled out and shaped, reformed in this almost living liquid state before returning back to the rock inside. And would you? Yeah. Yeah. You immediately feel something pull inside of this magic against your tools and then release as the spell you're casting to try and truly identify its magic finds only the bare basics to really identify. No spell to latch onto. This magical properties of this water shifts, becomes something else, and then returns back. And you're only able to learn the surface level properties of within. The magic inside Swift Hollow is present and identifiable, but completely alien to the way you expect magic to work with your newfound understanding.
Like it doesn't follow the weave.
Like it seems like it's following the weave for a bit and then just suddenly tries to become something else and then is thrust back the way the weave works.
So it's trying to warp itself, but then natural law takes over and is like, no. That's not how this works.
Seems like it.
Go back to being a proper magic, and it's like, I don't want to be proper magic. Okay. Something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, Swift Hollow, as over the course of 10 minutes, the exceedingly boring Swift Hollow being silent and just looking at tools, scribbling stuff down before she finally tears a page out of her notebook and then presents it to you. Pretty comprehensive, actually, for basically, essentially saying, I don't know what this is. It seems the report seems to talk about how it is transmutation magic, kind of. It's transmutation magic transmuting its own transmutation magic into something that she can't pick up on. Something that doesn't exist, or something that doesn't want to exist. Something that does want to exist, and the natural law of the weave, you get the idea. This is advanced magic.
Do you think it destroys things? Or changes them into something better? Tamar's gonna pull out a single arrow. He doesn't actually have any normal arrows, so a single +1 arrow.
All right.
Dip it down into the water.
The moment you dip it into the water, you don't feel the shaft move, but you do see the metal tip immediately pop right off the shaft and become liquid and start floating freely. If you keep it in there, it does seem to try and pull itself back. But if you pull the shaft out, you can see it continue to float freely, constantly melting down to a seemingly a semi-liquid state and then try to return back to form.
I put the shaft of the arrow back in to see if it reforms at the head of the arrow.
As eventually, leaving it alone for a bit, you put it back inside. The metal seems to strike into the shaft, immediately coat the end of it, making a small metal rod, until it eventually tries to reshape itself, and it ends up becoming different. You pull the arrow out, and rather than being the simple tip, it's like this weird, strange, twisted spiral drill shape. Still probably a functional arrow, but has been completely reshaped by some will of magic.
As seeing the stones like pop in a couple stones, you see it sucks out some like the strange metal ore inside. It's just metal, it seems. And what random shit? I guess I'll just put the other arrow in there. See if it like
Swithalo, Swithalo puts a dried meat ration into the water.
just put
All right.
random other stuff that isn't metal in
Yeah.
there.
Now we're just testing.
Actually, that's
It's like,
interesting.
okay.
You would drop the strip of dried metal into the water, and it seems to actually be
No,
perfectly
meat,
fine.
meat.
So just meat then. So okay,
Yeah.
meat landing, into the water like a strip of jerky, and it seems to float freely inside until you see things immediately shift in the water, and you see those tiny little shimmering metal droplets immediately pull from the pores of the rock and slap onto the meat and spread like droplets, and they stick until by the end of it, you have this metal spotted strip of meat. You pull it carefully out of the water, and you'd see it sticks. This meat now has essentially a thin metal skin covering parts of it.
Hmm.
And do you stick your hands in the water to pull it out, or do you like use calipers? What are you doing?
From what she's seen, Swithalo with her somewhat metal-like gauntleted hand-ish, maybe. I don't actually. Well, I guess it's kind of a robot. Studded leather.
Kind of a robot.
I guess depending on no, it's studded leather, but it's a full suit. She uses tongs.
Okay.
She uses metal tongs.
You do see them warp suddenly as you try to catch onto it. As you pull it out, it seems like the metal just has enough time in the water to maintain its shape. But yeah, you pull out this strip of dried meat, now soaked in water and now partly covered in metal.
So it melts metal and attaches it to something you put in after. Interesting.
Swithalo tries to snap the meat in half.
You feel like
where the metal actually is.
Where the metal seems to attach, where the meat is, it just seems to be easy to flex. But as you try to bend some of the sheet of metal, some of the spots on them, with your strength, it takes a little bit. It's thin enough to where it seems like just the amount of floating mineral metal inside. It's just enough to maybe make like a thin sheet that could bend. Almost as if it pulls it out and through weird magic forges it into something of a thin alloy. Still has some strength to it, but again, it's just thin enough that you, even with your baby arms, can bend it. If you had more metal, who knows?
So we go tell the others. I don't know if it's much use to us, but interesting nonetheless.
Perhaps. Can Swithalo also try to identify the metal?
You could probably just. Give me just a straight up int roll. Unless you got Smith tools. We got Smith tools. Give me some Smith tool check. You got both. And just roll a Smith tool check with an intellect. See how smart you are, because you know about metal. That's right. You're a Smith boy now.
Yeah, she's a Smith girl. She has a bang of her own metal. Armor. 22.
Oh, you'd easily recognize this being iron extracted from the ferrous earth all around you. That now seems to be slowly. Some of it, as you're sort of messing with the statue, you can see some rocks around you starting to shift a little bit by bit. As it seems like there's some slight disturbance here. But yeah, you tell this is just straight up iron being dragged out of the rock and seemingly by this water reshaped into a flat, almost liquid alloy.
Yeah, Swithalo, from the sheet that she wrote, addendums that to what she is discovering. That seems to be some sort of organic plating water.
Yeah.
Somehow. Plates? Yeah, I was going to be like, I wonder what happens if I dip my hand in. Do I just lose my hand? Does my hand just dissolve into weird hand magic? That seems like a bad idea. Alright. In you go, piece of meat.
Alrighty.
We'll head back to the group and just tell everybody what we found in there.
Okay.
Meat plating pool.
As indeed. Informing the group who's conscious that he found some weird statue inside there with water that seemed to have some weird relationship with metal. Alrighty. Unless there's anything else, Kulor at the end of the rest, standing forth and just piece by piece carving away from someone in the entrance, working his way out until you would tell the structural integrity of this place starts to break. As give us a good description, Kulor. What's it like when you take this fucking entrance down and collapse this temple?
Yeah, I probably start just kind of weakening the sides more, and then getting up at some points and finding the arc pieces of it, and knowing kind of how most structures are built. Spending so much time around Elven architecture and Mobian architecture with influences of Dwarvish, just finding those key last strokes to just kind of collapse the top in on itself.
You sure you want to
By no
bang?
means is it. By no means is it. It's not impossible to get in, but fucking a child's not just going to be able to walk in. It's going to take some conceited effort to actually remove these stones. We could probably do it in like 3 or 4 hours, but just a random person can't just walk in.
Okay. Treading some difficult entry inside.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was if you guys had tried taking any of the water out of the basin.
Didn't seem like it.
Yeah, that's what I would do, having been told that exists, and have Tamar Khan show me where it is, and use the wine pitcher that I just got, and see if that would work.
Sure.
Or you immediately just melt?
You would put the glass inside very carefully. You would watch the gold attached to the glass immediately pull off and float freely inside. You'd carry some of the water, and it just seems to be water to your eye.
Drink it.
Time to take the whole basin.
Does it have a different color or sheen compared to the water in the basin?
Just seems like you got water out of a basin.
Yeah.
Is the cup melting?
Cup seems fine. Glass seems okay. The gold melted off though.
Yeah.
It's now floating in the basin.
Is the statue remarkable in any way?
Seems to be mostly buried in rocks. And the more you start to toy with this thing, you see some of the rocks starting to shift around it more. It just from what you can tell, this thing's pretty tall, about 10 feet possibly in height. All you can really make out about it is it seems to be somewhat humanoid. It just mostly can make out a pair of hands extending out of the fallen stonework holding this basin. I guess one thing you'd also notice would be like it seems to be missing some fingers. It only has about 3 on one hand, 4 on the other.
Okay, so no significant markings or indications of what this was or who this might have been to make it or anything like that.
Not that you could tell. You ain't no stone expert.
I'll have to rub it in. Okay. I will take a copper piece and sort of just quickly dip it into the pitcher water and throw it onto the ground.
Yep. Throw it in the water. Seems to become liquid, pulling off its center, and then you're just dipping your fingers in with it?
No, I'm just saying, just taking like a copper piece, mage hand, and just sort of dipping it and pulling it out as quickly as I possibly can, trying to see if
Seems like it goes in and out super quick. The thing becomes semi-liquid, and you pull it out quickly, it snaps back to shape.
Oh. Super interesting. Okay. I'll take my picture of crazy, weird transmutation doom water.
Alrighty. As with some rubble falling, sort of, I guess that's sort of the alarm clock at the end of the rest. You'd hear, and a plume of dust would come rolling from the now mostly collapsed entrance of this temple, sort of shaking the rest of the camp awake. You guys would find yourself at the end of the rest. As Cooler walks out, having destroyed the entrance of a temple.
To refill all things. Oh.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, Spitala, before we leave, Spitala also dumps a couple of rocks in.
Yep. Rocks would do the same thing. Seen parts of them seem to pull out small itty-bitty glitters of metal lodged inside the stone.
And then she'll take out, using Calling Upon Hit Keeper's Mic, upon that mage hand and pull out a leather canteen and dip it in.
All right, get a little bit of the water.
It doesn't plate against the leather.
Again, if you're just letting the floating rock stay inside, it would definitely seem to try and touch against some of the leather, but doesn't seem to last long against it. It sticks to it and then pulls away.
Hmm.
We didn't fight anyone
Okay.
that was plated in metal, did we? Because it only
I don't think
stuck
so.
to the flesh, it sounds like. Oh, is that how you make the
Statue
touch of the
waters,
golden
statue
hand,
water.
maybe? Do you need that water to make that? Would that be a... Am I arcana-ing with my actual brain right now?
You think so? If someone could somehow take this stuff and probably give it a new purpose, maybe with a bit of magic or alchemy, possibly? Take some liquid gold, extract it, stick it inside of a bottle. Seems to have no way to reform itself. Or give it something to bind to that can't reform itself, maybe oil.
Yeah.
But hard to say. According to Swift Hall, this thing has weird non-magic magic. It is not... To your big arcana brain, it sounds like this thing is doing a familiar trend of breaking the rules, or trying to. As indeed, you find yourself at the end of the morning.
A
What do you guys
giant
up to?
rat.
First, just checking, make sure Magnus got a good night's sleep. How's he feeling?
Seems to wake up still incredibly sore and exhausted, but seemingly very happy that we're out here and getting some fresh air. Oh, it tastes so good.
I'm sure one of us will have a good idea of asking a certain someone about it.
Eventually. As yeah. You guys, what are you guys doing as you come to the morning?
Getting ready to go, but how are we going? Are we all going to Roka? Or are we just sending the others back?
We're going to Roka. We're taking everybody back to Roka.
Okay.
Just give me a moment to prepare as I grab Samantha's arm and pull her off to the side.
I need a sacrifice.
As I give the letter of recommendation to Vistas. Yes, Persephone.
You know magic things. As Persephone is going to open her little amulet and, as an action, remember what she saw on Magnus's back, and then turn it over to show Samantha.
Can you figure out what this is? Do you know what this is?
Take a look at what she's showing me and screw up my face.
Scratch your chin, raise your eyebrow, big snake wraps around your head thinking, give me an arcana check.
Oh,
Big old
little
question mark
snakes.
forms above your head.
Shouldn't be too difficult. Hey, easily enough. As yeah, with your probably personal understanding of these things, this is somewhat of a strangely familiar, I guess, shape considering the recent events, although a bit on the other end of the spectrum. This is a rune, a symbol, a mark. What its actual meaning is, you can read in this moment, as you can actually read the language infernal that you discern it to be. It seems to say the word slave. As a bird calls in the background.
Well,
Where did you see this, Persephone?
It was on Magnus's back. He mutters in his sleep and he was reaching at it.
I think Magnus has made a deal with the devil, it seems. And that is the sigil for slave in Infernal. It is not uncommon for someone like himself who desires so much from the world, but does not have the strength or character to get it himself, to appeal to fiends. Or perhaps he's been enraptured by one. Who's to say?
Okay, that's all I've wanted to ask. Thank you.
Of course. Perhaps you can, if we have time at some point, get some more information from his nightmares. Might let you see who it is he's focusing all of his night terrors on. Hopefully they're associated.
I might, but I think it's wise to limit my gifts to people I trust. I mean, so far the only people I've dream walked into has been family, friends, and creatures that we've killed. So.
Well, he may not be able to speak of it himself. And I know you. I know your desire to help everyone who you think is in trouble. It will extend even to someone like Magnus. It may be worth invading his privacy a bit to save him from the clutches of a fiend, if at all possible. What do you think on the morals of that? I will be at the ready when you need me.
Okay. As Persephone's going to take that information, just close her amulet, and just make sure everybody is awake and ready to go back to Roka.
Yep. Seems
But
like
every
Ooh.
now and again, she just takes another look over at Magnus. A little worried still.
Alrighty. It seems like everyone's coming to. Young dwarf lady gets up and starts gathering what is left of her thing. She looks like she's reaching for a backpack, but then sees there's just nothing there and just sighs a little bit and brings herself to her feet. Yisraka early in the morning would have said her goodbyes and slithered into the forest, while the rest of you gather up, and I'm assuming some magic's gonna happen.
Alright, everybody hold on really closely, okay?
Oh,
We're
I
gonna
gave
go back
everyone
to
their
Roka.
points too.
How much you giving them? Did you guys settle on if you're gonna be generous or?
Persephone
them
is
copper.
generous AF. She
Okay.
would just give them money.
800 GP between like 30 people.
Yeah, but that could be 600 GP among the 6 of us. 7?
Uh,
2, 3, 4.
I'll leave it to Kuldor.
6.
He's the one with the money. He would
Yeah,
give
leave it
all
with
the
Kuldor.
money to the people.
Yep.
Rich as fuck now.
Enjoy your 26 gold, peasants.
We literally set them for like life, and then the children.
It's like
I
a
mean,
year
26
of
gold is like
comfortable
a
living.
month's worth of wages.
No.
Man, what are they spending
I
money
thought it
on?
was half a
Isn't kind
year.
of like 1 GP is about a day's wage?
That's like modest living. About like living. If you're like living in an inn, eating decent, like basically not having to struggle. You basically it's a GP a day. So basically, give him like a month. Basically, give him a month to recoup, gather some supplies, and
Two and a
find
half
themselves some
grand.
money.
That's not bad money, but it's not. You're not gonna
It's a-
grad or fucking
it's a tax
retire with
return.
Yeah,
two and a half
Enjoy.
thousand bucks. You're like,
It's good.
Yeah.
I paid for
Basically-
life with 2,000.
Yeah,
What,
it's-
what are these?
Pretty good
What are
starting
these
over money.
peasants doing? Guys,
Going
such
on
as like
pilgrimages.
squalid.
As you'd find them all
I give
decently
him
well
I
equipped
don't
with
give
coin.
Magnus any. I don't give Magnus any. He owns a business. He doesn't need any. And I'm
That's
assuming
fair.
that
Give
the king
Magnus
doesn't
money!
need any.
We also
Oh,
just
the-
leave
yeah,
behind. We just leave
The
it
king,
in the
the king,
Kuldor-
the king asks for a copper piece. It seems
Yeah,
to
I'll
be
give him
something
a
he very
copper.
much enjoys.
Does
I just keep
Kuldor
him lucky.
obviously avoid giving anything to Magnus?
Heads of a coin. Oops.
I'll just-
Whoopsie!
I'll just
throws
Would
Right
you
it
would
into
you
the
like to
book.
contest against Persephone's stupidly high insight?
I mean, I know he owns a business and he's like part of the build, so like I know he's got money.
But you know he owns a second-class business because he can't get on the wall. He's a scrub who has like a cart or whatever.
Doesn't his business also work in trade, not necessarily coin exchange?
Yeah, it seems to take items in exchange for other stuff.
He has
Yeah,
a shitty pawn shop.
Basically. He refutes it's not a pawn shop, but it's a pawn shop.
It's like,
Yeah,
this is like worth 80,000 gold pieces. The best I can do is 2 copper.
Mostly just like, oh,
No,
give me
doesn't he
the
trade
item, I'll take
items for
another.
items?
Yeah, he trades item for items. He literally,
trades items
does
for
not
items.
have coins.
Yeah, he needs all the help he can get. Plus, we just found out he's a demon or devil slave, so give him the 26 gold. Let's move
We're
on.
gonna kill him in a couple hours. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
That's what you guys do. Coins being handed out, one not to
First,
Magnus.
ready to go.
First, we'll make sure Magnus gets some coins. And yeah, we're going to teleportation circle out of here.
Alrighty, what does it look like when you use your innate magic now?
When she uses her innate magic with her connection to the Feywild, a circle of small little mushrooms and blooming flowers begins to form in this 10-foot diameter around all of the group. And then the sparkles. Before sparkles cling on to everybody, and then we vanish into pixie dust and arrive at her room in the silken seabed, which was last.
Wait! We long rested!
You all in that room.
You did long rest.
Fuck!
You can
Civil
go back.
War.
You can go to the circles though. The circles in Roka and Cradle Keep.
It doesn't work. Her thing only goes to places where she long rested. But you do have your magic back.
Yeah, just cast it normally, I guess.
You're in a jungle. There's trees all around you. Like, yeah, all good.
God damn,
No, can't you
that's
just,
why I was so eager to... No, we had to do this before we took the long rest.
No, I'm saying just cast teleportation circle and just teleport to the
You
teleportation
can't.
circle.
You can only
Not
the
the-
teleportation
not
work
hers.
only works this way with her druid thing. She can only teleportation circle to places where she lost rest. It's not. She doesn't know the
doesn't have
spell.
the actual spell.
No,
No,
I do
she can
not.
cast it through this
I
ability.
have a special one.
That's how it works.
This is why I'm gonna ban all teleportation magic and just get a fly carriage or an airship and just do shit normally. God damn.
Yep, that's the hard part. You guys took a rest.
Fuck, we took a rest. I forgot that's very important.
All right, we start
detail.
walking.
All right, time to Congo on.
All right, everybody, run through this tree.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah,
Touch
if you
one of the
roll
large-
it, The
Everyone
round
has
isn't. The
movement.
round doesn't end until everyone's acted. So technically, you have
Yes.
infinite
Yeah.
time.
Yep,
No,
just enough time for
but there's a finite amount of distance depending on the amount of people.
Doesn't matter. You guys find a big enough
Doesn't
tree,
matter.
enough
If the
room
tree's
all
bigger,
around
you
it.
carry like
Shut up!
12
You
people
find a
each.
big enough tree. It's 9:30, and you touch it with your magic hand. The crystals open up, and yeah, just everyone has time to saunter inside, and you find yourself out in the glorious King's Garden in the city of Roka, entering from one oasis to another.
I told you it doesn't matter.
So now we're gonna have to wait another day before we can go to Skyreach. Just telling everybody now.
That's
Oh,
fine.
you guys
Go
going
buy
to
some
Skyreach?
potions.
That's fine. That's fine. Ah, I feel so much better to get some sleep. Hey, Layla Fane, I introduced myself. Did I introduce? I think I did. My mind is such a blur now. As this tiny dwarf lady again reaches for her shoulder for something, sees there's nothing there, and just shakes it off. Hey, friend Kildor here was telling me you guys were heading up to Skyreach. I actually had a bit of a business there myself. Well, not really up there, more below. But you're looking for Irongrad.
Secured your passage there.
That's good, because that mountain has been one hell of a place to traverse. Last time I was there, or at least tried to scale it, it threw me off the edge. I barely survived it myself. But I do know Dwarven architecture, and Irongrad historically has been known as one of the hardest fortresses in Dwarven history to enter. It was designed to keep out the giants in the Great War, and by sure enough, it seemed to work. But I know enough about Dwarven architecture. I've been through enough dungeons myself. I think I might be able to help find ways inside. You can be the brute force to help keep us all on the mountain. Maybe dig through some rock. We might have to do a bit of digging. That mountain itself has been shifting in shape. I found an entrance one that led there was on top of a great cliffside. The next moment it seemed to be gone. Oh, I said moment, more like a week. But if you wish, I could be a guide. Someone help find the place, guide you through at least far enough to get inside. There's something inside I've been looking for myself. But, as you can see, all my wares are gone. I had some supplies heading up into well, it was Dracodan at the time, but it's now the Yonti Temple. They've defiled it, no offense. But I'm without wares, and honestly, I need some more days of rest. I can accompany you to the mountain, give you something of a guide if you can keep us on there, but I mean, at least I'm gonna need at least a couple of weeks. Rest up, gather some supplies, and I can join you. If you're willing.
We were at
We're
that temple
planning on
by
going there
choice.
tomorrow.
But I love it when you all talk at the same time. It's like I can hear so many people saying the same things.
We're
What was
planning
that
on
quilt
leaving
on?
tomorrow.
Oh, I mean, I don't think I can be much help for you tomorrow. I still need some rest. But if you wish to go on without me, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, you can just go find mystery without me. I'm sure you'll be fine.
If we leave tomorrow, we can get an idea of what's going on in Skyreach. We may still need her.
That's the other problem. They don't particularly like me too much in Skyreach. Bit of personal business there, but last time they didn't quite treat me too kindly. People there are a bit twisted these days.
It's fine. We are known as the Dragon Slayers. I have some political pull within the city. You will be under my protection.
That'd be good, if only hiding behind your shield.
So we are going to wait a week or so Guide can recuperate then.
I mean, I can try to do it as I am, but I'll tell you right now, even with a good night's sleep and the taste of fresh air, I still can't even see straight. I wasn't in good conditions for quite a while. Might need some time to rest. Of course, also gather some supplies. I haven't been completely empty-handed. I don't even have a climbing rope. I don't have my battering ram. I don't have rappel. Like, how am I supposed to scale a mountain without the tools properly?
I have a battering ram, but
You
and
do?
a climbing
Well, look at
stick,
that.
actually.
See, this one knows how to travel in Dungeoneer.
I mean, I could just dig through the mountain.
Now that's something I'd like to see.
The places I accompany are usually populated.
How
A
long do
couple
you
weeks
need?
wouldn't-
At least a couple of weeks. 2 at the least.
2 weeks wouldn't be a bad idea for us to free up on some supplies on our own.
Would this be the best city for what it is you need?
I mean, Roka's got everything. Is it still high tide?
Indeed.
Oh, thank the gods. Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll have supplies here. If you want, you can actually help find me some things in the meantime. They might have a set of boots here from the far eastern side of Mobia. They have a deep ravine right where it meets Tyrion. Might find some here. I need a pickaxe. Be fun with an adamantine tip. That'd actually be pretty helpful. Those things there. You'd be surprised how often you meet a tip of adamantine. Breaks right through everything, rock like butter. And you can find like a glass eye. That's a strange request, I know. Sorry, it's I'm a bit strange myself. If you had like maybe something like an eye, a bit of glass or something, I might be able to use that for a bit of scouting around.
Write down a list, and we'll find the things you need.
Alrighty. If you don't mind, I hear that there is a beautiful brothel here with very pretty ladies, and I think I might spend some time resting.
We'll take you to the seabed. 'Cause 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 we'll take you to the seabed
Alright. You have 1+ days to let spells recharge. "15 days, and we depart on the 16th.
I wonder how many times I can get in and out of prison in that amount of time.
Unfortunately, too
47.
many.
Prison? Why are we going to prison?
Tamarcon likes to get himself into trouble.
That's an interesting experience. Can I join you?
Good.
Never been in a prison before.
As the sun now beats over the wall of this golden city, taking you from a desolate mountain oasis to now a glimmering golden home. And you guys find yourselves, for the next 2 weeks, time to prepare to gather yourselves and hopefully give this strange little dwarf woman who seems to be a bit off in her own way, time to recoup after an exhausting period of being imprisoned. And, as well as give yourself time to stretch your legs before you will head off to the city of Skyreach, the tallest city in all of, if not the world, all of Mobia. And hopefully find your way to the city of Irongrad, giving some clues to cool lore some time past ago when you guys became ushered in as dragon slayers, looking for a waterfall that hides the entrance, if it still resides there. As that is where we will end tonight's session, having some good old roleplay, some conclusions to character arcs, and now giving you guys some breathing room, some time between the Feywild adventure and the Yanti Colton God Discovery adventure to either breathe as the characters or otherwise find some moments to prepare in your own way, whether it's crafting or otherwise just getting into antics, getting to know one another. That's all I got.
Totally
Finally,
metagamingly
downtime.
talk to the lady, be like, "Oh, you were there. You're looking for dwarf stuff, huh? You're looking for a statue. Well, we might have seen something like that. Oh, really? Yeah."
As we'll cover that in the next session, as that will definitely happen.
Good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Good
What am I gonna
stuff
do for
indeed.
2 weeks?
I don't know. That's the fun, isn't it? Well, thank you all so much for hanging out with us on this wonderful Thursday for some more Song of Rapture. It's been a blast. Be sure to tune in not only next week for some more Song of Rapture at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, but also this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the continuation of Heroes of Thylea, our wonderful, brave heroes do their best in the challenge of Xander, whatever that may entail, as they progress through that horrifying and wonderful dungeon. But that's all we've got for you tonight. So without further ado, yeah, your dice roll 20s. You always make your saves.
Later, y'all.
Toodles.